project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the World Bank has pointed to Jamaica as a model for the region amid increasing global economic uncertainties.
The long-awaited Jamaica Teaching Council bill has passed a key hurdle in the Senate.
The bill before us this afternoon is about support, capacity building, and development.
Indicom says 105 Jamaicans have been killed by the security forces since the start of the year.
NCB and First Global Bank had the highest uptime for their ABMs in the Kingston metropolitan area in February.
The government is in talks to construct a new building for KPH.
In news from the rest of the world, Trinidad and Tobago police kill 4 within 10 hours.
Ex-US Congressman George Santos sentenced to 7 years in prison.
In headline sports, Kingston College equal decades-old record as Jamaican high schools dominate pen relays.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC, says 15 short-term recommendations have been implemented from the Professor Orlando Patterson-chaired Jamaica Education Transformation Commission. We'll hear from ETOC's chairman, Dr. Adrian Stokes.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, would you support a 4-day work week? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, as Jamaica's digital economy continues to expand, cyber criminals are becoming more sophisticated, especially in their phishing attacks. How can individuals and businesses protect themselves? Senior Manager for Systems Engineering at Fortinet Caribbean, Emmanuel Oscar, will tell us.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
We'll have all these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, April 25, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The World Bank has pointed to Jamaica as a model to follow as it calls on Latin America and the Caribbean to adapt their economic strategies in the face of increasing uncertainties and growing global economic volatility. That's one of the key takeaways of the Multilateral's Latin America and the Caribbean Economic Review for 2025 released on Thursday. Khaleesi Wright tells us more.
Expectations for global growth have been slashed across the board due to growing trade volatility and uncertainty caused by U.S. administration's trade policies. The World Bank forecasts growth of 2.1% in 2025 and 2.4% in 2026 for the region. This makes Latin America and the Caribbean the slowest growing region worldwide. The World Bank says the forecast is linked with a low investment, high debt, and a shifting external environment as major barriers to the region's development. It says despite some progress in controlling inflation, fiscal deficits remain a pressing concern for the region. The regional debt-to-GDP ratio is expected to reach 63.3% in 2024, up from 59.4% in 2019. The World Bank says the entire region still needs to generate more fiscal space through gains in efficiency, spending reductions, and better designed tax systems. It says the path of public debt varies considerably across the Caribbean and Central American regions. The report says economic growth and fiscal discipline have contributed to some countries making significant progress in lowering debt to GDP ratios, reaching levels well below pre-pandemic levels. Jamaica was singled out as one such country alongside Barbados and Belize. Particular credit was given to the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC. This, the World Bank says, ensured transparency and built societal consensus around fiscal discipline in the country. The World Bank says this serves as a model for the region. The report forecasts growth in Jamaica of 1.7% for 2025 and 2026. Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
The legislation seeking to establish and maintain professional standards for teachers was passed in the Senate on Friday. The Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill passed with the unanimous support of government and opposition senators. The bill, which will establish a professional oversight body for teachers, will now face a final hurdle in the House of Representatives. Shalois Michael tells us more.
The Jamaica Teaching Council was envisioned as far back as 2004. It suffered from a roller coaster legislative process in the ensuing years, leading to it being sidelined on numerous occasions. Government Senator Cavan Gale says the legislation will protect students by promoting the integrity of the teaching profession.
So what we were contemplating in the process of establishing this legislation is not just about teachers, but a heavy set of the dialogue was around how we protected the students. The establishment of the role of the Jamaica Teaching Council, sir, is going to be very, very critical. A cornerstone of this legislation is that formal establishment. As a statutory body, the council will be charged with the responsibility to regulate the teaching profession, marking a significant institutional advancement in my mind in how we manage and support educators.
Similarly, Senator Marlon Morgan says the legislation is about the support of the nation's teachers and not victimization.
Teaching is as esteemed and important to nation building and national development as is medicine, law, engineering, and architecture. Mr. President, while there is a clear thrust and a framework prioritizing teacher accountability, the Jamaica Teaching Council as a secretariat, as is the bill before us this afternoon, is about support, capacity building, and development, not intimidation, not the oppression of our teachers, not the victimization of our teachers, not marginalization of our teachers, or indeed the recrimination of teachers.
The legislation was supported by opposition Senator Damian Crawford. But Senator Crawford, who's also the spokesman on education, says the bill's failure to properly define competence in the process of assessing a teacher could lead to victimization.
Section 28(1)(b), licensing requires a person to, and I quote, be competent to teach. But the Act does not define competence. Leaves interpretation up to the council for future regulations. Undefined standard is a potential for arbitrary enforcement. No clarity on what competence means. Teacher could be denied a license or renewal without misconduct, just on the basis of a perception of competence to teach. May target outspoken educators, and it may also target persons in failing schools.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
The number of Jamaicans killed by the security forces since the start of the year has surpassed the 100 mark. That's according to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. In its latest update on Friday, INDECOM says as at April 25, 105 people have been killed by the security forces. That's 61 more than the 44 individuals killed up to April 20 last year. This represents a 58% increase in police fatal shootings when compared to the similar period last year. So far, 24 of those killed were in April alone. That's 15 more than the 9 recorded in April 2024. The latest incident occurred on Friday after police killed the reputed Don for the 100-lane community off Red Hills Road. He's identified as Shaquille Dawkins, otherwise called Dog Teeth or Triple Chain. Dawkins was reportedly killed during a confrontation with the security forces at about 8:30 in the morning. It's understood residents were threatening to protest the slaying of Dawkins. Photos seen by our news centre show the section of Red Hills Road across from the entrance to the lane littered with tires, garbage drums and old appliances. However, the police say the road has since been cleared and a security team deployed to monitor the area. The trial of the JCF members charged in connection with the 2014 death of Mario Dean was adjourned early on Friday in the Westmoreland Circuit Court after the prosecution failed to produce a scheduled witness. Corporal Elaine Stewart and District Constables Marlon Grant and Juliana Clevon are facing charges of manslaughter and misconduct in public office. Stewart also faces an additional charge of attempting to pervert the course of justice. Robian Williams reports.
On Friday, Dean's mother, Mercia Fraser, took the witness stand for the second time since the trial began on March 3, 2025. Following her testimony at approximately 10:50 a.m., the Crown informed Supreme Court Judge Justice Courtney Day that the two remaining witnesses expected to testify were unavailable due to a miscommunication. The Crown explained, "It seems when I was given instructions, I misspoke and misunderstood the delay, my lord." Justice Day, visibly concerned, asked, "So you have no other witnesses for the day?" The Crown replied, "No, my lord." Justice Day pressed, "When next will you have your witnesses?" The Crown responded, "My lord, I could organize them for next week, but this will depend on certain arrangements for the Crown," before requesting a private discussion with both the prosecution and the defense teams. Following a roughly 20-minute meeting in chambers, the judge announced that the trial would resume on Monday, April 28. Justice Day stressed that the prosecution must have a witness ready for the date. Meanwhile, during her testimony, Fraser recounted receiving a pair of blood-stained navy blue jeans belonging to her son from a medical doctor at Cornwall Regional Hospital. She also confirmed giving a consensual oral swab to the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom for DNA testing. Mario Dean was arrested on August 3, 2014 for possession of a ganja spliff and placed in custody at the Barnett Street Police Station in St. James, where he was allegedly beaten while in a holding cell. He sustained severe brain injuries and fell into a coma. He died 3 days later at Cornwall Regional Hospital. It's alleged that the three accused officers were on duty at the time of the beating. Stewart is further accused of instructing that the cell be cleaned before Indicom investigators arrived. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
The National Commercial Bank NCB and First Global Bank FGB had the highest uptime for their automated banking machines ABMs in the Kingston metropolitan area in the month of February. That's according to data released by the Bank of Jamaica BOJ on Friday. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The data was tabulated from outturns provided by the individual banks to the central bank. According to the list, NCB enjoyed an uptime of 97.5% among the 106 ABMs it operates within the corporate area. NCB also operates the most ABMs of any commercial bank in the country. First Global Bank is the only institution on the list whose uptime exceeded 98%. However, First Global operates relatively few machines, only 11 in the corporate area. Sagicor and CIBC Caribbean Bank round out the third and fourth spots at 96.9% and 96.6% respectively. Scotiabank, JN Bank, and Victoria Mutual Building Society all fell below the 90% mark and the Bank of Jamaica's standards required for uptime in the Kingston metropolitan area. Average ABM uptime for the region was 92.8%. It's a rate deemed unacceptable by the Bank of Jamaica. Meanwhile, rural areas are comparatively worse off in terms of ABM uptime. The average uptime for rural ABMs was 91.9%. Again, First Global and CIBC led the pack at 98.4% and 97.2% respectively. NCB falls to third place, tying with VMBS at 96.3%. Bank of Nova Scotia and JN Bank again performed the worst at 87.9% and 86.7% respectively. Again, both entities failed to meet the requisite standards as instituted by the Bank of Jamaica. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park, or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Download the My T-Tag app, available on Google Play Store or the App Store, and add funds to your T-Tag from anywhere you're there. Also, keep checking the LED screens at our toll plazas for periodic promo codes, which will give you bonus T-Tag credit when you enter it in the My T-Tag app. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Continuing the news. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton believes brighter days are ahead for the Kingston Public Hospital, the KPH. Speaking at a tour of the facility on Friday, Dr. Tufton announced that discussions are underway regarding the construction of a new building for the hospital.
We're going to have to look at the plant in its totality. We have started that. We have started that by looking at things like the electrical system, the plumbing system. There's a committee that is set up, chaired by the permanent secretary for the past 2 years, and some works have been approved. Cabinet has also weighed in on it based on my own representation and the leadership of the Prime Minister to look at a full overhauling of the KPH services within a new building setting. And we are at an advanced stage of discussions around lands that are available in and around this area. And as I have said before, I will elaborate more decisively on this once we conclude those discussions. I just want to reassure you that KPH will see much brighter days in terms of its overall infrastructure.
The KPH has been in existence since December 1776. Over the years, the hospital has seen its share of maintenance problems. Most recently, an outbreak of mold forced the closure of the hospital's 4 main operating theatres. They've since been reopened after being sanitized. The sanitization work involved mold treatment, wall repairs, and AC servicing. Minister Tufton says KPH will also see its infrastructure upgraded.
Some may argue that it is just a promise, and particularly in this season, promises tend to be made, and I appreciate that cynicism where it exists. But I ask them to consider what is being done now elsewhere as part of the confidence that they should have in any commitments that we make. If you go to Spanish Town now, there's a 6-story, $40 million building that is under construction as we speak. Money secured, which will add beds, new operating theaters, new services. If you go to Cornwall, significant overhauling. Western Child and Adolescent, brand new hospital. Procurement process started for UWI, and we are going to be doing the same at Maypen and St. Anne's Bay. So what we are doing elsewhere is what we are going to be doing at KPH.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, the Minister of Health and Wellness.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says unfulfilled political promises continue to fuel rising voter apathy in Jamaica. He made the comment as he addressed the National Housing Trust NHT's groundbreaking ceremony in Brookside Estate, Spot Valley in St. James on Friday.
We are in the promising season. And there are some politicians who are going to come to you knowing your frustration, knowing your disgruntlement, knowing your anger, and try to feed upon that frustration, feed upon that anger. They're going to make promises to you that may address your concern. No. And you may even vote or change your vote as a result of it. But when it comes time to fulfill it, it can't be fulfilled. And then you become part of the disbelieving, frustrated voter who believes that politics can't change anything. In other words, this cycle of political apathy, this is what created it.
Jamaica has been experiencing a troubling trend of voter apathy where an increasing number of eligible voters are choosing not to participate in elections. The highest voter turnout in the history of Jamaican general elections was 86.9%, recorded in 1980. However, in recent times, poll after poll continues to show a dwindling interest among Jamaicans to cast their votes. Only 48.37% of Jamaicans participated in the 2016 general election. The figure dropped to 37% in the 2020 general election. Citizens continue to cite unrealistic or unfulfilled promises from both major political parties as a key reason for staying away from the polls. However, with the countdown to the upcoming general elections, Dr. Holness sought to reassure Jamaicans that his promises are sure.
In my lifetime, as a political representative, I have tried my best, and I think I've done very well, to avoid making promises that cannot be kept. And if these promises, if I've made and I can't keep them, rest assured that I have come to you and said, well, this can't be done again. Because there are things you come with ambition and aspirations, and it may not work. But I've never come to the people with an intention to trick them.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
4 men were fatally shot by police in 3 separate incidents across Trinidad and Tobago within a span of 10 hours today. 2 of the men were shot dead following what police described as a confrontation at about 10 in the morning. The Trinidad Express reports that the men were in a Nissan Tito when they allegedly opened fire on officers near a sports bar. The officers returned fire, injuring both men. They were pronounced dead at hospital. Another man was shot dead after a chase and crash shortly after midnight. A revolver with 2 live rounds was reportedly recovered from the front passenger seat of his vehicle following the crash. The other fatal shooting took place in Tobago shortly after 9 this morning. The police say the man, who was wanted on several outstanding warrants, attacked an officer with a cutlass and a knife. He was shot and later pronounced dead at hospital.
Former Republican Congressman George Santos has been sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. The 36-year-old pleaded guilty to the federal charges in New York court last August. Prosecutors had asked for 87 months in prison, while Santos's attorneys had requested he serve 2 years. The sentencing marks the final step in the downfall of the novice New York politician. Santos was expelled from Congress after the fraud case alleged that he lied about his background and misused campaign funds to finance his lifestyle. He is the first member of Congress to be expelled in more than 20 years. Santos reportedly apologized for his actions while crying in court on Friday. The former lawmaker has been ordered to pay at least $374,000 in restitution. He'll report to prison on July 25.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the World Bank has pointed to Jamaica as a model for the region amid increasing global economic uncertainties.
The long-awaited Jamaica Teaching Council bill has passed a key hurdle in the Senate.
Indicom is reporting that 105 Jamaicans have been killed by the security forces so far this year.
NCB and First Global Bank had the highest uptime for their ABMs in the Kingston metropolitan area in February.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers.
saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. AMC we have delicious. Spicy the best. So when you can see saucy wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings, delicious, hot and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
Taxi drivers, are you ready to earn more? Join Amber on Time and keep 100% of your fares in the first month. No commission, no catch. Plus, in your second month, we'll install a free vehicle tracker to help keep you and your car safe. Stolen vehicle recovery and panic button response are also on us. And guess what? On May 3rd and 4th, come to 13 Hailing Road. Snacks and drinks are on us. Come link up, ask questions, sign up on the spot, and level up with Amber on Time, Jamaica's taxi app built just for you.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Kingston College and Calabar produced stunning performances to win Championship of America's title on day 2 of the 129th Penn Relays at Franklin Field Stadium in Philadelphia today. KC clocked 3 minutes 05.93 seconds to capture the 4x400 meters crown in what was the second fastest time done by a high school in the event at Penn Relays, only behind the 3 minutes 03.79 done by Calabar in 2018. It was also KC's 4th straight title, equaling the record set by Manuel of Brooklyn, who also won 4 straight titles between 1907 and 1910. Calabar was a 3rd, 3 minutes 06.52, Excelsior 4th, 3 minutes 07.98, and the Jamaica College 5th, 3 minutes 08.06. Stets was disqualified. Calabar, in the meantime, blasted their way to the 4x100 meters title in 39.79 seconds, the 8th fastest time ever in the event at the meet. It was also the 9th time the Red Hills Road-based school was winning the event. Kingston College was a 3rd in 40.16 seconds and dethroned the champions Excelsior 4th, 40.36. The 4x800 meters ran off a short time ago, and we'll have the result for you in our subsequent sportscast. In the meantime, defending champions Hydel High, they clocked the fastest time in the Championship of America's 4x100 meters for girls qualifiers in the morning session. The Ferry-based school clocked 44.54 seconds, the quickest time going into Saturday afternoon's final, where 4 other Jamaican schools are also secured their spot. Edwin Island was second fastest, 44.64. Wolmer's was next, 45.50. Homotech, 46 seconds on the nose. And St. Mary High, 46.81. 3 Jamaican schools are also in the Championship of America's Girls 4x800 meters finals following the morning heat. Alphonsus Davis was the quickest in 8 minutes, 54.73. And they were ahead of Homo Technical, who won their heat in 9 minutes 01.58. Edwin Allen comes next, 9 minutes 04.26 seconds. World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson and the 2020 Olympic gold medalist Hansel Parchment are among 7 Jamaicans down to compete at the first stop on the Wonder Diamond League meeting in Xiamen, China on Saturday. Jackson will run in her pet event and she'll face the Americans Jenna Prandini and Tunisha Terry. That's TT. Meanwhile, Parchment will line up in the 110 meters high hurdles. He'll renew rivalry with the reigning world and Olympic champion Grant Holloway of the USA. World champ Daniel Williams will clash with the world record holder Toby Amusan of Nigeria in the women's 100 meters hurdles. Rowan Watson will be Jamaica's standard bearer in the men's 100 meters. Natoya Gould, she'll line up in the rarely run 1,000 meters. And Wayne Pinnock, the world and Olympic silver medalist, along with former world champion Tajay Gale, will line up in the men's long jump. St. Elizabeth Technical are once again champions of All-Ireland schoolboy cricket. The Santa Cruz-based school lifted the Issa Grace Paulding Cup on Friday, as no play was possible on the third and final day of the playoff against Grey Shield champions Excelsior High at Stets. Excelsior was set to resume on set to resume on 16 without loss. In their second innings, they were trailing by 185, but there was no play due to affected areas caused by heavy overnight rain. Stets were crowned the champions after taking first innings points. Scores in the game: Excelsior 127 all out and 16 without loss. Stets 328 all out. And finally, in sports at this time, champions Kingston Cricket Club are the only undefeated team left in the Zone D of the JCA Michael Holding Senior Cup cricket competition after 5 rounds. They're on 27 points with 4 wins and a draw. The Tigers will look to improve on that record when they visit Boys Town in round 6 of the 2-day competition at Collismith Drive, and it will start on Saturday. Meanwhile, Melbourne and St. Catherine Cricket Club will meet in a Zone F top of the table clash over at Melbourne Oval. St. Catherine CC, they sit second with 19 points after 2 wins and 3 draws, while Melbourne, they top the group with 21 points. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about our trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, Downtown, and also available at the SMS Store, 12 Ruthven Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Here's a pro tip. If you keep forgetting to add funds to your T-Tag, you can use the auto top-up feature in the My T-Tag app. You can set it to automatically top up your T-Tag at a specific time each day, week, or month. Or you can set it to automatically top up your T-Tag when your account balance goes below any value you choose. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings, delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
JUTC finally arrived in St. Mary. Well done, JUTC.
The seats are very comfortable and it has Wi-Fi and AC.
Driver, the ride was nice, the AC was nice. I love the ride, I will always look out for you.
Thank you for traveling with me, and I will definitely look out for you the next time. Welcome to JTC on the 52B from Alpha Tree to Toms River.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left yard, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No flight performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free, and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5 this Friday, and it's payday. So I know I find you all in a very, very good mood, and it's nice and cool outside, hoping that it continues throughout the weekend. My name is Ricardo Brooks. I'm going to be joined shortly by Tyrone Reed. In the meantime, what we have for you this afternoon on the cover story, we're getting an update from ETALK. Of course, ETALK is the Education Transformation and Oversight Committee, chaired by Dr. Adrian Stokes. Now, they're reporting that progress on the implementation of the Pattison Report has inched up by 1%. At a press briefing today, the Education Transformation Oversight Committee says it has reached an overall 23% compared to 22% for the previous quarter. Here's more from Dana Davey.
The Professor Orlando Patterson chaired Jamaica Education Transformation Commission report was published in 2021. It contained 365 recommendations. ETOC has split them into 3 categories: short, medium, and long-term. Dr. Adrian Stokes is the chairman of ETOC.
For this quarter, we are reporting an overall progress rate of 23%. This is an improvement on last period's progress update of 22%. So there has been a 100 basis points improvement in overall project period over period. Importantly, work has begun on all pillars to date, with all initiatives started progressing as planned. Now, if you recall, last quarter, we reported that one initiative was lagging, the JTC bill. Now, we're happy to report that that initiative is now on track and progressing.
The JTC bill is being debated in the Senate on Friday. The bill is aimed at establishing a professional oversight body for teachers. It recognizes and promotes teaching as a profession by regulating the entry and standing of its members and maintaining a register of teachers and a roll of instructors. It also seeks to establish and maintain professional standards for teacher competence and practice and to regulate the professional conduct of teachers. Meanwhile, ETOC says 7 initiatives were finalized during the reporting period. This brings to 15 the number of short-term recommendations that have been implemented. Dr. Stokes says the re-establishment of an early childhood education oversight body was among them.
The provision to assess services to children with disabilities and behavior disorders is now included in the data sets of schools and the NEI reports. Importantly, the Early Childhood Development Cross-Sectional Oversight Body has been re-established with 13 members, including the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Education, who is the chair. That's now active. The first meeting was held on February 27 of this year.
He says throughout the period, work also continued on how to modernize the Ministry of Education. The Mona School of Business, which has been contracted to review the ministry's operation, is expected to conclude its work by November. Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Kassan Troop, says work on 50 more recommendations will get underway this financial year.
We are not sitting down on this. We are working, and I'm just letting you know that within this year, with the budget that the government has provided, an additional 50 recommendations will be added. That will take us to 171 active work being done, and that will give us about 47% of the overall targets being addressed.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thanks, Dana. I'm now being joined by my co-host, Tyrone Reed. Good afternoon, Tyrone.
Top of the afternoon to you, Sir Ricardo, and top of the afternoon to our listeners and our viewers as well. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We give thanks, I could be doing better things than spending time with you here, but...
You'll just have to make do.
With you, right?
We have joining us now ETOC's chairman, Dr. Adrian Stokes. Good afternoon, Dr. Stokes.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Top of the afternoon to you, Dr. Stokes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Stokes, as I was listening to the update from ETOC, I couldn't help but think this reform process seems to be moving painfully slow. Am I wrong in that assessment?
Education is a mammoth institution. There's a lot to be done. There are 365 recommendations. You can't turn around the ship in a short period of time. So at this stage of the implementation, we are exactly where we planned to be. The JTC bill was lagging, and I'm happy that good progress was made today, with the bill now moving to the lower house, and hopefully we will get passage soon. I think what's more important is to ensure that the impact that we will receive from the transformation is real and lasting and ultimately will lead to an improvement in educational outcomes in our country.
And on that point of ensuring that the impact is lasting, I've been wondering what's the sort of buying that you're getting from key stakeholders like the JTA? Because if they're not on board over the long term, then we might as well pack it up. What's been their response to as you go on implementing the reform?
So far, so good. I honestly cannot say that we have received any significant pushback or we have encountered roadblocks. Education is complex, as I indicated before. It's a mammoth task to implement these far-reaching recommendations. But so far, we are very happy with the level of support we have received from all the key stakeholders. Still early days yet, but so far so good.
And if you say that you all are happy with where you are in terms of the reform process, what's the full timeline that the Jamaican people should be thinking about when you think about full implementation?
Right. So the reform process will run over an 8-year period. We are in year 3 of that. We do expect that beginning this year, we will start to see what I would call tangible outcomes from what is being done, right? That is not to say that we haven't started to see some fruits coming from the work that the Ministry of Education is doing. But, certainly beginning this year, certainly at the CSEC, the next sitting of CSEC, we're hopeful that we will see an improvement in math and English passes. The passage of the JTC bill, we will begin to see an increase in professionalization of the teaching industry. Issues to deal with early childhood and improving what is happening there. That is something that we're looking forward to as well. Governance, the big issue of governance as it relates certainly to school boards and work that is being done there to reform accountability in this critical area of our education sector. Beginning this year, again, we will begin to see tangible outcomes. We are, 3 years in, 5 more years to go. But, if the commitment that I have seen from the stakeholders continue, and certainly with the support of the government and opposition and all stakeholders, as I indicated before, if that support continues, then I'm very, very confident that we're going to change the trajectory of our education system for the better.
Doctors,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jaron.
Come on, go ahead. All right, Dr. Stokes, just to be sure that I'm hearing you correctly, the time frame within which all these recommendations should be implemented is, you say it's an 8-year period that has been identified, yes?
Yes.
And we are in year 3.
Yes.
We're in our little noble profession here, we're often told to listen to what people are not saying and try to get from them based on tone and tenure, where their mind is, so we can know where to go next. And one of the questions I want to ask you is, based on what I've heard from you so far, are you bullish on the fact that we will successfully complete this based on the pace that we are now? Are you bullish that we will complete it, or do you foresee that we'll need an extension to that 8-year term?
So that's a great question, Tyrone. And this really goes to the heart of big reform movements in Jamaica. Certainly we did it with our macroeconomic situation. We had a governance framework there that proved to be effective, and certainly the government in its wisdom has tried to replicate that structure with the Education Transformation Oversight Committee. So the hope there is that the approach that is being taken, certainly from a governance perspective, with the support of the government, with the support of all the key stakeholders, including the opposition so far, we will continue to see the transformation train running. So, I see nothing to indicate that, people will sway or move off course from the work that is happening in education as it relates to transforming the critical areas of our education system, Tyrone.
Hold it there for us, Dr. Stokes. You're up on a break. Let's take the break and come back with more.
The Temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
Burrata! Buy a 3-piece hat-trick meal and get an extra piece free for a
Commercial
limited time only.
spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you. New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have saucy wings. Delicious, spicy, the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings, delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
I'm Tyrone Reid.
And we have with us the chairman of the Education Transformation and Oversight Committee, ETOC, Dr. Adrian Stokes. Dr. Stokes, before the break, you were explaining to Tyrone that you were fairly confident because of the model that has been implemented that we will meet that 8-year timeline. And as I listened to you, I was wondering, in terms of the change management process and then the trickle down to ensure that the directives and the policies being set at the higher level get on the grounds into the schools, how does ETOC manage that process through the Education Ministry?
Again, great question. The partisan report has some priority recommendations, one of which has to do with school board and the school board selection framework, and it speaks to improving the rigor and ensuring that we have proper accountability at the school board level. Because just like a private organization, boards are extremely important. That's where the senior leaders of the school are held to account. That's where we ensure that the policy directives coming from the government, coming from the Ministry of Education, those are acted upon. And as I indicated earlier, one of the things that we're doing is to improve the composition and the quality of our boards. And that, I believe, is a key pillar to ensuring that we will have improved accountability and ultimately sustainability in what we're trying to do.
I'm sorry, Dr. Stokes, how do we do that practically? Because as it is now, for example, you just need to be politically connected in some communities to end up on a school board. You don't put, sometimes some of the members of the board don't have any particular competencies, but because of the party they support, they may get a recommendation. Or you perhaps just need to attend a particular church. So yes. in a practical way, how do we ensure that happens?
Right. So what we're looking at is the following. So again, if you look at a specific recommendation coming from the partisan report, it speaks specifically to the selection and operation of school boards, that they should be consistent with GOJ's governance framework for public institutions. And as you know, the Ministry of Finance led a significant overhaul in terms of how public boards how they are constructed in terms of competencies definitely improving the quality of school boards. And we are adopting a similar approach to the boards in, that govern our schools. So the hope is that with the improvement in terms of the competencies, the quality of people, in terms of the composition, in terms of voting rights, and generally improving the governance at this level, we should see an improvement in how schools are governed.
Let me just, before I get to my question, Dr. Stokes, on what are the top 3 hurdles you face, because as chairman of ETOC, I'm sure you appreciate the need for transparency so the general public can get a buy-in as to what are the challenges you're facing, because it can't be all smooth sailing. But let me just put it pointedly to you, just following on that question. When we are finished with all of what we need to do, will it be easier to see a rogue school head be removed from their duties? I just want to be pointed, because we're seeing issues that are in the news, and it does appear, for all intents and purposes, that no action is being taken. The chairman is still holding his post. The principal is still in his post while the students suffer. At the end of all of what we're doing, will we have built in that sort of accountability into the system that we can relieve people of their responsibilities if they are not functioning properly?
So the direct answer to your question is yes. That is the key objective. We want to improve accountability. A school can't govern itself, and that's an important principle that we are trying to institute. You can't be an executive leader of an institution, but yet you are holding yourself accountability. That's not a good governance framework. And so with the reforms that we are advocating in keeping with the recommendations coming from the Pattons report, we are seeking to ensure that there is independence on the school boards, and the independent members are responsible, certainly in terms of voting rights, for overall accountability. That will ensure that from an accountability perspective, and sorry, I should also say, with adopting the approach that is taken in the wider government sector as it relates to boards, we should have an improved cadre of persons who are making themselves available for school boards. And with the combination of changing the structure plus improving the cadre of persons who are serving our boards, then hopefully we should get rid of some of the perverse outcomes that we are seeing with school boards in our country.
So let me see if I understand that correctly. So in a sense, you're saying we're going to establish sort of a pool of persons from which the minister may appoint?
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, this is not novel.
Right. That's in keeping with the... Yes.
This is what currently obtains in the public sector.
Okay.
But as it relates to obstacles that you're facing as the chairman of ETOC, the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, what are some of the major obstacles that you've seen in attempting to implement the recommendations?
I see it as a process, and with any significant change, there will be a transition period. Certainly, as it relates to culture, persons, changing how they think about high quality education, how they think about accountability, how they think about performance management. It's going to take some time for us to get to a point where we have what I would call a high performance culture within our education system. Now, this is not to say that we don't have really, really great people operating within education. We do. We have pockets of excellence. We have world-class teachers, world-class students. In some of our schools, we're seeing world-class results. What we need to do is to ensure that more of that is seen in more schools. In other words, we want to raise the minimum standards for education in Jamaica. So that's a long-winded way of saying that, it's really
you have a cultural problem. You're facing a cultural problem. Shifting of mindsets.
Shifting of mindset.
And is that cultural problem? Is that cultural problem inside the ministry itself, or among the broader stakeholders?
It's right across the sector. Truth be told, it's right across the sector. And again, I don't want to paint too broad a brush, because everywhere that I have gone, and I have been traveling the country, going to most of the schools that are struggling, and even in those schools, you come up on like really, really high quality people who have the right mindset, and they're ready to go, and they want the support to be able to do a great job. So, I just want to be careful to highlight to the Jamaican people that we have excellent people, but, obviously you're not going to be able to change something as large as education without a significant number of persons, or the majority of persons being of very, very high quality to be able to operate at a world-class level. And that's what we're working to achieve.
And certainly this is a project at which we can't afford to fail. Have you found the JTA to be a net gain to this process?
Sorry, you perhaps need to rephrase the question. Let me try and understand what you're saying.
Right, the JTA, a stakeholder, yes? The Jamaica Teachers Association,
yes,
important stakeholder.
A key stakeholder,
yes.
Absolutely.
Have you found your interactions with them do you find the entity to be a net gain to the implementation of the recommendations?
So far, we haven't had any negative interactions or, anything that would detract from the process as it relates to the JTA. I have been interacting with JTA members. Some of the schools I go to, the principals are very active within the JTA. These are very enlightened people. And, so as I said, so far so good. It's been fairly productive, the interaction, and, all hands seem to be on deck. But it doesn't mean that will continue. But it would be unfair of me to say at this point that I'm running into roadblocks, as our generally is running into roadblocks with the JTA.
Let me now, going back to our reportage on the latest that has been reported on the implementation. Our reportage is that progress on the implementation of the Patterson report has inched up by 1% at a media conference which was held today. At the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC, says it has reached an overall 23% when compared to 22% for the previous quarter. So in this quarter, you've only gone up 1%, and I asked if you were bullish on us implementing everything within that 8-year time frame. Should we be encouraged by the fact that we're only seeing 1% when you were in comparison to the previous quarter?
Okay, again, the implementation is not straight line. In other words, you're going to have seasonal effects based on the initiative or the nature of initiatives being worked on for a particular quarter. Some of the initiatives are quite meaty and require a lot of work, a lot of coordination, and so progress is relatively slow, right? And some other initiatives, you can achieve them, within a relatively short period of time. So, a 1% achievement over a particular period does not necessarily mean that, it's moving slowly. As I indicated, overall, we are actually on plan because of how the initiatives were scoped at the start of the project. We recognize that you will have periods where the relative movement will be incremental, but as you get over those humps, you will get to future periods where the progress is more faster. Right. So, it's not going to be a straight line implementation. and you will have seasonality in terms of your achievement rate.
And just to give the listeners a sense of the progress, on governance and accountability, we're at 12%. Early childhood education, 28%. Teaching, curriculum, and teacher training, 13%. Reform of the tertiary sector, 17%. Technical and vocational education training, TVET, 32%. Infrastructure and technology, 19%. And technology progress is at 49%. So infrastructure is 19, technology 49.
That's 49, yeah.
Right, and finance 19%. Listeners, there's a website that you can track it for yourself, trendja.com. Yeah?
To say that again, Ricardo,
trend-ja.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know we have to go. Dr. Stokes, we cannot afford to fail on this education transformation project. In just in about 10 seconds or so, if you could tell the Jamaican people again how important this is and that we can't afford to fail.
Yeah, it's very important. And I just want to highlight what Singapore, for example, achieved after taking a similar approach. All hands on deck. Education was recognized as critical to the country's development. Policy was implemented to align objective with actions, and it's now a world-class education sector that is enabling Singapore to compete at the global level. We too in Jamaica can achieve those results and fundamentally improve not just our educational fortunes, but our development trajectory as a country. We can do it.
Dr. Adrian Stokes, the chairman of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC. Thank you, Dr. Stokes.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes.
Take care. Cheers.
The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. The World Bank has pointed to Jamaica as a model to follow as it calls on Latin America and the Caribbean to adapt their economic strategies in the face of increasing uncertainties and growing global economic volatility. That's one of the key takeaways of the Multilateral's Latin America and the Caribbean Economic Review for 2025 released on Thursday. The report says economic growth and fiscal discipline have contributed to some countries making significant progress in lowering debt to GDP ratios, reaching levels well below pre-pandemic levels. Jamaica was singled out as one such country alongside Barbados and Belize. The report forecasts growth in Jamaica of 1.7% for 2025 and 2026. The legislation seeking to establish and maintain professional standards for teachers was passed in the Senate on Friday. Government Senator Cavan Gale says the legislation will protect students by promoting the integrity of the teaching profession.
So what we were contemplating in the process of establishing this legislation is not just about teachers, but a heavy set of the dialogue was around how we protected the students. The establishment of the role of the Jamaica Teaching Council, sir, is going to be very, very critical. A cornerstone of this legislation is that formal establishment. As a statutory body, the council will be charged with the responsibility to regulate the teaching profession, marking a significant institutional advancement in my mind in how we manage and support educators.
Cavan Gale, Government Senator. The legislation was supported by opposition Senator Damian Crawford, but Senator Crawford, who is also the spokesman on education, says the bill's failure to properly define competence in the process of assessing a teacher could lead to victimization.
Section 28(1)(b), licensing requires a person to, and I quote, be competent to teach. But the Act does not define competence. Leaves interpretation up to the Council for future regulations. Undefined standard is a potential for arbitrary enforcement. No clarity on what competence means. Teacher could be denied a license or renewal without misconduct, just on the basis of a perception of competence to teach. It may target outspoken educators, and it may also target persons in failing schools.
Damian Crawford, Opposition Senator. The number of Jamaicans killed by the security forces since the start of the year has surpassed the 100 mark. That's according to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. In its latest update on Friday, INDECOM says as at April 25, 105 people have been killed by security forces. That's 61 more than the 44 individuals killed up to April 20 last year. So far, 24 of those killed were in April alone. That's 15 more than the 9 recorded in April 2024. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says discussions are underway regarding the construction of a new building for the Kingston Public Hospital, the KPH.
We're going to have to look at the plant in its totality. We have started that. We have started that by looking at things like the electrical system, the plumbing system. There's a committee that is set up, chaired by the Permanent Secretary for the past 2 years, and some works have been approved. Cabinet has also weighed in on it based on my own representation and the leadership of the Prime Minister to look at a full overhauling of the KPH services within a new building setting. And we are at an advanced stage of discussions around lands that are available in and around this area. And as I have said before, I will elaborate more decisively on this once we conclude those discussions. I just want to reassure you that KPH will see much brighter days in terms of its overall infrastructure.
Most recently, an outbreak of mold forced the closure of the hospital's 4 main operating theatres. They've since reopened after being sanitized. Minister Tufton says KPH will also see its infrastructure upgraded.
Some may argue that it is just a promise, and particularly in this season, promises tend to be made, and I appreciate that cynicism where it exists. But I ask them to consider what is being done now elsewhere as part of the confidence that they should have in any commitments that we make. If you go to Spanish Town now, there's a 6-story, $40 million building. That is under construction as we speak. Money secured, which will add beds, new operating theaters, new services. If you go to Cornwall, significant overhauling. Western Child and Adolescent, brand new hospital. Procurement process started for UWI, and we are going to be doing the same at Maypen and St. Anne's Bay. So what we are doing elsewhere is what we are going to be doing at KPH.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says unfulfilled political promises continue to fuel rising voter apathy in Jamaica.
We are in the promising season. And there are some politicians who are going to come to you knowing your frustration, knowing your disgruntlement, knowing your anger, and try to feed upon that frustration, feed upon that anger. They're going to make promises to you that may address your concern. No. And you may even vote or change your vote as a result of it. But when it comes time to fulfill it, it can't be fulfilled. And then you become part of the disbelieving, frustrated voter who believes that politics can't change anything. In other words, this cycle of political apathy, this is what created it.
Jamaica has been experiencing a troubling trend of voter apathy, where an increasing number of eligible voters are choosing not to participate in elections. Citizens continue to cite unrealistic or unfulfilled promises from both major political parties as a key reason for staying away from the polls. However, with the countdown to the upcoming general elections, Dr. Holness sought to reassure Jamaicans that his promises are sure.
In my lifetime as a political representative, I have tried my best, and I think I've done very well, to avoid making promises that cannot be kept. And if these promises, if I've made and I can't keep them, rest assured that I have come to you and said, well, this can't be done again. Because there are things you come with ambition and aspirations, and it may not work. But I've never come to the people with an intention to trick them.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smikle. Sports is next.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
The benefits of the NWC debt amnesty will continue to flow for another 2 months. Oh yes, from now until May 31, you may qualify for debt write-offs. Also, if your residential account has been disconnected for 6 months or more, you may qualify. Pensioners, past beneficiaries, and those with commercial accounts may also qualify. So, what are you waiting for? Dial 888-225-5692 or visit a commercial office today to find out if you qualify. The NWC debt amnesty, a part of our bucket full of goodies.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about our trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, downtown, and also available at the SMS store, 12 Ruth Venner Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. You can now conveniently add funds to your T-Tag on WhatsApp. Just save our T-Tag WhatsApp number 876-355-3336 and send us a message when you want to top up. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Kingston College and Calabar produced stunning performances to win Championship of America's titles on day 2 of the 129th Penn Relays at Franklin Field Stadium in Philadelphia today. KC clocked a 3 minutes 05.93 seconds to capture the 4x400 meters crown in what was the second fastest time done by a high school in the event at Penn's, only behind the 3 minutes 03.79 seconds done by Calabar High School in 2018. It was also KC's 4th straight title, equaling the record set by Manuel of Brooklyn, who also won four straight titles between 1907 and 1910. Calabar was a 3rd in 3 minutes 06.52, Excelsior 4th, 3 minutes 07.98, and Jamaica College 5th, 3 minutes 08.06 seconds. Stets were disqualified. Calabar, in the meantime, blasted their way to the 4x100 meters title in 39.79 seconds, the 8th fastest time ever in the event at the meet. It was also the 9th time the Calabar team was winning the event. Kingston College was a 3rd, 40.16, and dethroned the champions Excelsior 4th, 40.36. And for the second straight year, the Championship of America's 4x800 meters relay title will remain in the United States. In the final, Kingston College was the best placed Jamaican school. They finished 6th. Calabar and Edwin Allen, the other Jamaican schools in the final, failed to get into the top 10. Meanwhile, defending champions Hydel High, they clocked the fastest time going into the 4x100 meters final tomorrow. The Ferry Bay School did 44.54 seconds, and the final will go off at about 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Edwin Allen was second fastest. They clocked 44.64. Woolmers 45.50. Homewood 46 seconds flat, and St. Mary High 46.81 are also into the final. The 4x800 meters will see 3 Jamaican schools in that final. Alphonsus Davis, the quickest, 8 minutes 54.73, and they were ahead of Homewood Technical, who won their heat in 9 minutes 01.58. Edwin Allen comes next, 9 minutes 04.26. They all go in the finals on tomorrow's final day of the championship. World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson and 2020 Olympic gold medalist Hansel Parchment are among 7 Jamaicans down to compete at the first stop on the Wonder Diamond League Series in Xiamen, China on Saturday morning. Jackson will run her pet event against the Americans Jenny Prandini and Tushana Terry Titi. Meanwhile, Parchment will line up in the 110 meters hurdles, where he'll renew rivalry with the outstanding American, the world and Olympic champion Grant Holloway. World champion Daniel Williams will clash with the world record holder Tobia Musan of Nigeria in the 100 meters hurdles. Former national champion Rowan Watson will be the Jamaican standard bearer in the men's 100 meters. Natoya Gould, she'll run in the 1,000 meters. And Wayne Pinnock, the world and Olympic silver medalist, along with the 2019 world champion Tajay Gale, will line up in the men's long jump. St. Elizabeth Technical High School, they are once again champions of All-Ireland schoolboy cricket. The Santa Cruz-based school lifted the Issa Grace Pauling Cup on Friday, as no play was possible on the third and final day of the playoff against Grey Shield champions Excelsior High School at Stets. Excelsior was set to resume on 16 without a loss in their second innings, but there were no play due to affected areas caused by heavy overnight rain. Stets were crowned champions after taking first innings points. Scores in the game: Excelsior 127 all out and 16 without loss. Stets 328 all out. The Jamaica Titans will make their entry into the inaugural West Indies Breakout League T20 tournament on Saturday. They'll come up against the Leeward Islands of Thunder at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium starting at 1 p.m. Jamaica time. The Titans captain Ramal Lewis says most of the players got well-needed playing time during the recent West Indies 4-day championships, and so they're ready to go.
Much of our players were in the 4 days, so I think we have a couple of sessions back home and 3 practice games. Everyone is excited, up to it. Can't wait to get out there, and everyone is excited. So we just gotta go out there and show our skills. Everyone is ready.
Ramal Lewis. Meanwhile, the Windward Islands Infernos, they registered the first ever victory in the tournament. They beat the Guyana Rainforest Rangers by 25 runs today. Alec Athanaze slammed an impressive unbeaten 91 to steer the Infernos to 166 for 6 in their 20 overs against Niall Smith, 3 for 28. The Rainforest Rangers fell short in their victory chase. They were restricted to 141 for 9. The consistent Kevlin Anderson made 58 and Adrian Sukwa 57, as Daryl Cyrus bagged 4 for 37. Trinidad and Tobago Legions and the Barbados Pelicans are currently meeting in the day's second game. The Legions are batting. They are now 10 without loss. Champions Kingston Cricket Club are the only undefeated team in Zone D of the JCA Michael Holding Senior Cup Cricket Competition after 5 rounds. They are on 27 points with 4 wins and a draw. The Tigers will look to improve on that record when they visit Boys Town in round 6 of the 2-day competition at Collismith Drive starting on Saturday. Meanwhile, Melbourne and St. Catherine Cricket Club will meet in a Zone F top of the table clash at Melbourne Oval. The St. Catherine CC team sits second with 19 points after 2 wins and 3 draws, while Melbourne tops the group with 21 points. Red Hills United and Almond Woodford will clash in the quarterfinals of the Casafa Ray and Nephew Major League Football competition at Belvedere Sports Complex on Saturday starting at 3:30. In the other quarterfinals, Police National will take on Seaview Gardens at Upper Camp, Maxfield Park will host New Kingston, and Mountain View will face Corville Gardens at Excelsior High. And that will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:18.
Since 1995, we've been your go-to source for everything related to billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. With locations at 1A Lindsay Terrace, Kingston 10, and the Village Plaza, Big Bridge, Savannah Lamar, we offer top-quality pool table parts and accessories, cutting-edge gaming machines, and more. We also specialize in assembly, sales, and service of amusement machines. We provide unmatched customer service, expert solutions, and products tailored to your needs. Who are we? We are Eclipse Enterprise. Telephone 876-960-3891.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left yard, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No live performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free, and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's a Friday, and we're thankful for the end of another work week. And as we talk about work, imagine this: 4 days on the job, 3 days to rest, recharge, or even have a side hustle. Yeah? Sounds like a dream. But could it really work for our local economy? Would productivity soar or stumble? Today's big question, public opinion question, is: would you support a 4-day work week? Would you support a 4-day work week? We want to hear from you, the workers, the employers, the students, the hustlers, of course. Tell us what you think. Would a 4-day work week work? So I'll start with the comments on our Facebook platform real quick.
Let's go over there where Donovan Smith is the first person to respond. He's saying, yes, I do, and it's long overdue. Work should be from Tuesday to Friday. If others want to work the 5 days or the whole week, then they should be able to do so. Give us the option, especially in the services industry. For Dina George, he's also saying, yes, I would even support a hybrid work schedule, 1 to 2 days in office, 2 to 3 days work from home. Carlington Bartley has another opinion, a different opinion. He's saying not while we're developing. It's more fitting after we get to the first world status. George Elliott says no, our economy is not there as yet. When our exports exceed our imports for a reasonable period of time, it could be considered. Yeah? Uriel is saying, sorry, but you're late. This generation already supports a no day of the week work day. Okay. Cheryl Griffith said no most. Yeah, Shins for Life Law says most definitely. I was advocating for that in my department earlier on this year. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday should be the weekend. Hallen is saying no to a 4-day work week. Just no. We need more productivity, performance over propaganda, substituting reality with promises, action, not a bag of mouth. All right, Isaac Morrison is saying no, a big no to a 4-day work week. Cleon Spence is telling us that we need more human resources for that to happen. Natalie Winter telling us that yes, if a productive 4 days and I am properly paid and adequately compensated, then yes. Yes to the 4-day work week. Fabian says yes. Cleon Spence says no. Eunice Anderson say a long time that for one. Yeah, a long time we have 4 days of work and we'll get the rest of the day them for rest and go on with ourselves. Nayoka saying yes. Deslin saying yes. Sansia Campbell say absolutely. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in the comments on our Instagram platform. And I just want to let you know that the first two comments here are workers, employees of Nationwide 90 FM. So Mahiri is saying yes in bold caps, YES, yes to the 4-day work week. So Mr. Hughes, if you're listening, these are your employees. Ricardo also saying yes, and he says that the political party that implements that would probably win 4 consecutive elections. Jade is saying absolutely yes. Zoe School says definitely not. So what you suggest they do with the other work days? Smoke and drink booze? Buchanan saying, of course, no issue doing 40 hours in 4 days. The other 3 days can be used to spend more family time as well as to get a second job. Sharon Bliss, I see you on YouTube. Say, no, but I bring that to Cliff. I see you, Sharon. Sharon, I see you. Yeah? Sharon, where lazy I go? That never in I pick. Laziness. We do our 40 hours in 4 days. Yeah, add on 2 more hours. What you think, Bugs? Add on 2 more hours per the 4 days in the week. And we get the 3 day them for bebble down and thing. Alright, okay. Bugs say yes. Everybody is saying yes. I see yes coming through. Somebody asked if I had CMP. Yeah. Baby Doll is saying yes if boss allowed people to complete the 40 hours in 3 or 4 days. Hyatt Herman is saying I definitely would support more rest for the weary. Agreed. Nathaniel is saying work week should be from Tuesday to Friday. Yeah. Let me see if I can get over on our X platform, then run over to our YouTube page. To the public opinion question, would you support a 4-day work week? NASCA is saying no. You can barely get anything done with a 5-day work week. Can you imagine how much less will get done in 4? We're not built like that until we ramp up efficiency and our sense of urgency when performing tasks or services. 5 days it should stay. Can't reward people for bad behavior. Yeah? That's coming from NASCA Lilts. Mon Ican is saying, what kind of question that? What kind of question that? Then I must take the 4-day work week. The way how the Sunday them can run off like say it never want come. And you can hardly get time in the week with all of the traffic. Just tell me when this will be effective from now. All right, let me see. Disley saying, any political side come with this, I get my first ever vote. Yeah? Okay. Damian Meek saying, it's a 4-day work week now and it feels like 5. I don't know, man. And we are not going back is saying no. So to our YouTubers coming at you with the question, would you support a 4-day work week? Let's hear what you have to say. Corrine right off the bat saying, I will work 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday to Friday. And she's saying to avoid the traffic. Yeah? Clarence, many are going to work for 5 days and giving 4 days already. We need productivity. Frank White saying, yes, 4-day work week would be very nice. Let me scroll up to see. Sharon, bless, big up yourself. Cliffa, listen. And we the people, you know, we the people. Let's see. Leonard Seville saying Jamaican should work more days, not less. To work only 4 days, we are just developing. We're just a developing country. All right, let's see if we can get some more on that. Josephine is saying that will never happen. John Daniel Martin, people are saying work 4 days and it's 12 hours you work. Okay. Let me see if I can get, who am I saying, where the concept of 5-day per week came from. Learn your history. McHugh is saying, yes, extra money for that extra day. Yeah. Beverly Samuda, let's hear you. Yeah, you think the question of a fool? These guys don't like to work. What you expect to hear? Well, Beverly Samuda, what we expect to hear are the views of the people. So if you have a view, then share it with us. Yeah? All right. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Dean Breezer says yes for some workplaces. Affectionate Forest is saying that's the way to go. 10 hours a day. Yeah? All right. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Gen Z et al. Reasoning are unrealistic, says Grace 2020. Brian Thomas saying, guess a pay cut is in order with working from home. That is only reasonable. I mean, Brian, if you put out the same amount of work that you would put out when you're working in office, then why would your pay cut if you're working from home? More than likely, it's save all the office because you have to come here and turn on the light and the AC. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't think the pay should cut if you work from home. And COVID, it has taught us, if anything at all, that work from home possibly can go on. Who am I saying is asking if I'm an AI bot. Yeah? Yeah, I don't think so. The last time I checked, who am I? I wasn't an AI bot. Carlene is saying believe production level would be up and the body would be rested. Yeah. Barbara Ellington says as little poor country, we need to work 6 days. Some lazy bums will cry for 3 days. Bill Gentle says I work 4 days, 32 hours in the airport in the USA. Would you look at that? Yeah. Brian Thomas says have a wage freeze and implement work from home. Well, wage freeze I go. I don't know if anybody would support that. Coffee Jam says 4-day work week makes lots of sense and more balance of life. Yeah. Nikki Willis says work 4 days and get 4 days off, 12 hours. I'm having a ball. You know, to each his own. If you prefer the 4-day work week, then by all means. I mean, it's based on your work and your employers. Bev Thompson says productivity is a must. 10 hours daily and option to work an extra day. Yeah? Verly Green, 5 days per week. We're too lazy. You know, sometime when you wake up and you have this 10 o'clock. All right, say every business place kind of open maybe 9 or 10. The banks probably open 8:30, right? So by the time you go to work and you reach work and then the work finish at a certain hours where soon night, you don't get no little time for do nothing between the days them. So one day just run off during the work week. So I'm saying maybe, just maybe, you know, you could have an extra day to do all the running up and down. But we would have a 10 hour work day instead of the 9 to 5 or the 8. Yeah, I don't know. Sharon Bless says trying a ball when AI start gay. 1 or 2 days. Listen to me. Listen. To each his own, we have to work around it, don't it? We got to work around it, and everybody is fearful of AI taking over and all kind of and fat. Killian Henry says the Chinese work 7 days per week. Well, let me say to each his own. You may not agree. But we agree, or some may agree, some don't agree. To each his own. Yeah? All right, I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Terrell Campbell is saying 4 days work week. I agree. Healthy and wealthy way. So Mario said working more doesn't mean more efficient. People being lazy doesn't mean more hours. So he said I still can be lazy in a 5-day work week, don't it? Godfrey saying we are too lazy. No, don't worry when the Chinese take away our jobs. And see ISO saying yes, working more doesn't mean more efficiency. Yeah. Cindy Lynch says Monday to Friday, 7 days a week. How them wash them clothes. Frank White and family life. You have to have a balance. Arlene Rowe, big up yourself. Me don't know how you know some lazy. Me don't know how you know that. Me don't know how you stay over there so I know some lazy. But big up you. Yeah. All right, that's all the time we have for public opinion. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. The World Bank has pointed to Jamaica as a model to follow as it calls on Latin America and the Caribbean to adapt their economic strategies in the face of increasing uncertainties and growing global economic volatility. That's one of the key takeaways of the multilateral's Latin America and the Caribbean Economic Review for 2025 released on Thursday. Now, expectations for global growth have been slashed across the board due to growing trade volatility and uncertainty caused by U.S. administration's trade policies. The World Bank forecasts growth of 2.1% in 2025 and 2.4% in 2026 for the region. This makes Latin America and the Caribbean the slowest growing region worldwide. The World Bank says the forecast is linked to low investment, high debt, and a shifting external environment as major barriers to the region's development. Furthermore, Jamaica was singled out as one of the countries, alongside Barbados and Belize. Particular credit was given to the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC. This, the World Bank says, ensured transparency and built societal consensus around fiscal discipline in the country. The report forecasts growth in Jamaica of 1.7% for 2025 and 2026. To the currency markets now. At the close of trading today, it cost $158.91 to buy $1 It cost $210.78. That's 210 Jamaican dollars and 78 cents to buy £1 British pound. And also 115 Jamaican dollars to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robian Williams. Do enjoy the weekend.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Celebrate Mom with the Jamaica Observer's 4 Moms Mother's Day promotion. Win big for Mom with a $50,000 cash prize, appliances, gift certificates, movie passes, and more. Just spend $6,000 or more with your multi-link card. Grab the Daily Observer, complete the entry form, and submit it with your receipt. 4 lucky moms will win. Enter by May 16th and make this Mother's Day unforgettable. See the Jamaica Observer for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Jamaica is good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, while we feel safe at night.
Oi there! I can't pick Aki off of my tree. Are you planty? I know that. Come beat me, Cheryl, come beat me. But she I ya sweep up over here when the leaf them nasty up me yard. You know what? I cut this tongue.
Keela, Cheryl, how was that? Wanna stop the quarreling, no man? This no call for in our community. This no sound good, man.
Nobody tell me nothing. You know see how Cheryl turn bad. Me pick 2 little Aki off her tree off of the limb way hang down over my yard. And here she go talk about. She go cut down tree. And that me say, so what?
No bother with no quarrel. No fight. Cheryl, no cut down the tree. Uno live good no people. Uno a big man you know. And uno a neighbor. The picnic them a friend too. We have to set the example for the picnic them. Live good. Me a beg uno. Do.
A true ya talking a good son.
Take a little Aki them Keela. Cause for real, the limb really hung over your yard. We are neighbor. Make we start live good.
Aye. I saw it figure man. Live good, me say. Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life while we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us. This is the flagship program of Nationwide 90 FM. It's the Nationwide at 5. Welcome to those who are listening on our radio station. Yes, 90 FM band, the 90 FM band, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, 90.9. And of course, if you're watching over there on our YouTube channel, welcome back to you as well. We want to turn our attention inside the nation's business to this whole issue of combating Jamaica's rising cyber crime threat. Yes, cyber threat. As Jamaica's digital economy continues to grow, so too does the threat of cyber attacks. Among the most persistent dangers is what is referred to as phishing, and it's not the one you do with a rod. Yes, it's phishing, phishing. This is a deceptive practice where cyber criminals impersonate trusted entities to steal sensitive information, with attackers now leveraging artificial intelligence, that is AI, to make their schemes even more convincing. The risks to businesses and individuals are greater than ever. Recent data from Fortinet's FortiGuard Labs highlights a troubling trend. Platforms like Facebook, PayPal, and cryptocurrency exchanges remain prime targets for phishing attacks. Even the gaming industry, with platforms such as Roblox, has been affected. Has been affected. Do any of you play Roblox? Yes, the kids it's the rave among the kids. So Roblox has been affected, putting younger users at risk. In Jamaica, financial institutions, e-commerce platforms, and government agencies have seen an uptick in phishing attempts, with fraudsters using fake emails and websites to lure unsuspecting victims. As phishing tactics become more advanced, the need for proactive cybersecurity measures has never never been greater. To discuss further, we're now being joined by Senior Manager for Systems Engineering at Fortinet Caribbean, Emmanuel Oscar. Top of the afternoon to you, Emmanuel Oscar, and welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and Buddy Hour with you as well. And then pleasure to be here on the Nationwide production, and greetings to all the listeners in Jamaica.
Indeed, and Ricardo Brooks sounds as if he's joining us. Mr. Brooks, you with us?
Yes, man, I'm here, Tyrone.
Oh, wonderful. So, Mr. Oscar, if we can just bowl off with, the simpler questions first. What are some of the most common phishing threats currently affecting Jamaicans? And are there telltale signs? How do you identify these as such?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yes, indeed, we do see an upticks. And just to give you some background, as you know, phishing account for about 90% of all gateway, vectors through ransomware. Overall, globally as well, it's the perfect tool to use, as you mentioned, leveraging emails and other platform, right, to social engineer and have basically users click on a link or a link to actually introduce some sort of malware into the network, or tricking the user. And also looking at the way AI, artificial intelligence, is playing into this with craftier emails that are troublesome in that nature. And again, the whole idea is to trick the individual into clicking on the link and bypassing your traditional normal security controls.
Emmanuel Oscar, hold it there for me, please. We're on a time signal. Let's take it and come back.
Sure.
This time signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now.
It's 15 minutes to 7. Welcome back, listeners. We're discussing this issue of phishing. That's not phishing with the rod, as Tyrone says, but phishing, Phishing, a sophisticated form of online infiltration and sometimes theft. We have with us Senior Manager for Systems Engineering at Fortinet Caribbean, Emmanuel Oscar. Emmanuel, when we say there's been an uptick in phishing in Jamaica, what are we seeing year on year in terms of the numbers?
Yeah, so for example, year over year. So if we look at last year, actually, when I was in Jamaica, we saw a downtick to the number of ransomware. And again, reason I mentioned ransomware is because usually the prelude to an attack is the vector. The number one vector is phishing. We saw a drop, but the drop didn't necessarily mean like everything was okay. But it's just that they were more focused and targeted to specific industries like manufacturing and so on. That's where the big fish are, right? To speak. But as we saw the drop, so when we look at 2024 and going into the first quarter of 2025, we see an uptick. So for the entire year of 2024, we saw about 14 million attempted attacks in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. In the first quarter of 2025, we're already at 18 million, right? And it could be different events, things that are happening. You know, you have Carnival, it's New Year, it's December, and so on. And actually, the highest uptick, 8 million, was between December and January. Of course, it's a holiday season,
right?
And
online shopping and that kind of a thing.
Exactly. Online shopping. Everyone's, it's about 90 days till Christmas. Everyone's happy. And, the thieves are not sleeping as well, right? Mm-hmm. They're not sleeping. So they're looking at the online shopping. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Emmanuel, we here in Jamaica, we know about the banking. Yeah, I think everybody has gotten a text or so asking us to click a link or hurry up and change your password or that kind of a thing. But outside of the banking sector, are there any other sectors that you're seeing being targeted by these phishing scams?
Yes, especially manufacturing, and what we would term, and many of your audience may not understand. So, your operational technology or industries that fall under that spectrum. such as your water generating, your electrical grid as well. So this is where the focus is. We're seeing less on these industries, but more. They're getting attacked, but more on these specific industries, right? That impact what we call critical infrastructure. We see more attacks are being guided towards those type of industries.
We talked about how advanced these, thieves are, because that's what they are, right? These cyber criminals. One of the major ways to avoid falling prey to these individuals is to avoid clicking on links. You can't overemphasize that, can you? When it's sent to you by a source that you can't verify or trust. And even if it appears to be coming from a source that you should be able to trust, generally banks and other institutions of that nature wouldn't be sending you links to be clicking on in the first place. So talk to us about that. Isn't that one of the easiest ways to avoid falling victim? You can't overemphasize that enough, can you?
Definitely trust, but verify. For example, you may be waiting for a package and you get a text that says, "Hey, click on this link for this particular package." That's why double check with your provider and so on. Also, make sure that if the numbers that the banks are using, you have those within your contact. And at least if you're in doubt, please do call the bank, or make sure if you're receiving an email, it's from a legitimate URL. And of course, I have to say, we have to think about our vulnerable population as well, right? Not everyone can look at an email and determine it's malicious in nature. So it's about educating the population, continuous education of our population to ensure that at least, do not click on the link. If you have a single doubt about where the origin of a text or an email is from, you do not click on it, or do not open it, or do not download files as well.
Mm-hmm. And Emmanuel, we talk about vulnerable population, people like Tyrone, he loves to click links. I wondered, are these attacks being targeted at any particular age demographic, or are we seeing it across the board where both the older citizens and even some youngsters may be falling for them?
Yeah, so remember, as you said, these guys are extortionists, right? And so you're as strong as your weakest link, which is our youth and also our elderly population. So if I'm going to extort money from one of my citizens, I'll probably go with the elderly, right? They will be more susceptible to click on it and be frightened. Imagine you get an email that says, "Hey, your account has been compromised, and we need you to call or click on this link right away." Right? They may not have, the time and opportunity, to review and go through, and it'll just be a panic, a shock and awe kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm. You hear that, Tyrone? So you need to be slow on clicking those links.
But in terms of how the system, the sectors operate, Mr. Oscar, and is the sector changing enough to help folks, especially those vulnerable folks? There are ways within which I gather the banks or other reputable institutions won't seek to communicate with you. Is that safe to assume, or is it that a bank will send you a link to say, click on this? Is it safe to assume that, reputable institutions won't be sending you links to click on?
Yeah, so very few banks. And that's one of the ways to look at whether a text message of that nature has a malicious intent, because I have not seen any bank that has a link that says click on that. And also many banks are using something like two-factor authentication, where if there is an issue, they will contact you directly, provide you with the code, or if you're further in doubt, they provide you a number to call. If this is you, do call the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't call the number. One second, Ricardo, because he touched on something else that I think is really worth highlighting. Because some of these individuals have set up fake pages online as well. So if you Google the number for the bank, you might come across one of these fake pages, end up calling, and they're the ones who are answering as well. We do see that. So you want to ensure that you either try to call through the app, and not certain if all financial institutions allow that, or you ensure that you have a correct number for the bank, because that's also another way that they try to make their scam seem legitimate as well, isn't it, Mr. Oscar?
Absolutely, absolutely. Fake websites, and for example, where they would do something called an attack like domain parking, where they would take mybank.com and just change a slight letter within the name and put up a separate web page, which is malicious in nature. And in that sense, once the victim accesses the web page, they automatically download a malware within their system, and then it's history, basically whether it's going to be a ransom or whether they have to pay a ransom as well, right? As well to that's been downloaded from those malicious website. And this is if we go back to phishing again. So usually emails contain either a file, a malicious file, or a malicious URL link. So does the text messages as well. And again, if we are unsure of the source of the text message, and majority of text messages do not have a number, you just have a 4-digit code from a bank. So we really have to do our due diligence to make sure that we, again, protect ourselves from these types of attacks.
Gentlemen, we've largely been focused on the individual impact that it has on, individual citizens. But you said something earlier, Emmanuel Oscar, about the impact on energy grids. Did I hear you correctly? Energy grids.
That is correct. So that's
Right.
where we see that trend in Jamaica.
Yeah, and I wonder, from that perspective, that could also pose a grave national security risk if these people could get access to the energy grid.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Cybersecurity is no longer some sci-fi term. It has to do with the way we work, we live, and play. And by attacking our electrical grid, we are really impacting, the entire, let's say, an island nation like Jamaica. You're impacting the entire island. So imagine one day you wake up, you turn on the lights, and it does not come on, and same for the water. And you find out the electrical and water plant have been compromised and are susceptible to ransomware, and they have to pay the ransom. So really will impact every single one of us from a nation state perspective.
It piqued my interest when I saw Roblox in our brief there while I was reading it. What makes platforms like Facebook and Roblox particularly attractive targets for cyber criminals? And I'm asking that against the backdrop of a lot of kids utilizing this game platform called Roblox, or the app.
Yeah, it's about sharing. It's about sharing. And I send you a picture, you'll take it, you share it, you'll distribute it. So if I'm a malicious actor, what's the best way to distribute my malware, right? Through your contact and someone else's contact. And of course, many of these platforms, that's where the money is at as well. Right? If I can have access to your profile, which may have your account information listed on the webpage, and many parents have to, when they pay the subscription for Roblox, save the credit card information in the browser, right? So if I'm like that, that's a treasure trove of information there for me, right?
Yeah. A final one from me, Manuel Oscar. Best practices now in terms of keeping ourselves safe from these phishing scams. What are some of those?
Yeah, again, due diligence, ensure that you understand and know where the origin of text message are coming from. Do not click on any suspicious links or download any suspicious file. Also, best practices is to ensure that you have tools that are in place that can scan for malicious URLs and malicious files that's embedded within the email. And also when the emails is executed as well, you need to have certain protection available in case it is executed. And again, also it's awareness training. And if you're going to a website, ensure that at the address bar you see the HTTPS. That's make sure that it's a secure. And if you're in doubt, about the link, you can hover over with your mouse to see if it matches the name. If it does not match, do not click on it.
And in terms of, this is the global trends now, globally, which is my final one to you, Mr. Oscar. It's not just Jamaica or the Caribbean that we're seeing an uptick in these kinds of activities. I'm sensing, what's the data telling us in places like North America, and places like that? Is it also increasing in those sections of the world?
Yes, it is. Just based on our 40 Guard Lab report. So, for example, Latin America and the Caribbean in 2024, we saw about 900 billion of attempted attacks in Latin America and the Caribbean alone. And for 2025, we may see an uptick again because the uncertainty that we have right now globally, and the threat actors are going to try to take advantage of this uncertainty. So I'm not I'm not guessing into what it's going to be like, but definitely I expect that uptick to continue to 2025 because of the uncertainty that we currently have.
Thank you so very much for joining us there. You heard the voice of Emmanuel Oscar. He's the Senior Manager of Systems Engineering at Fortinet Caribbean. Thank you so very much for taking the time to share your expertise with us, Mr. Oscar.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
Please.
Indeed. So Ricardo, these activities, in North America, which is why I asked him that question, it's not just, places in the Caribbean that are suffering from a rise in these kinds of activities. They don't sleep over on this side, where I'm at. I mean, you get the calls on a daily basis. They even have these fake pages, man, ready to scam you. It's dangerous, man. Even in first world countries, you have to be so very careful, I'm telling you.
Yeah, for some people, it's a business. They've made a business out of this kind of theft. And I can tell you, I have seen an increase, certainly in the amount of these kind of texts that I get. Even simple things like, I haven't paid a toll or that kind of a thing. And I'm saying, I haven't traveled on a toll in a while. So this obviously doesn't relate to me. So those are some of the telltale signs I use to ensure that I'm not quick to click.
No, man, look, man, I'm telling you, if you get an email, if you get a link, call. Don't use a number in that email and don't just Google it. I mean, try to ensure that you have a legitimate number for the institutions with which you do business, because you want to be able to contact that institution because they have these fake profiles also set up, you have to be careful. Don't click on links. From the cybersecurity training sessions that I've been involved with, one of the main points they try to emphasize, so Ricardo and listeners and viewers, do not click on links. If somebody sends you a link, if it comes from Ricardo, he's always up to some chickini business, right? If it comes from Ricardo on your WhatsApp, take up your phone, call Ricardo. Talk to him, make sure that, hey, did you send me this? Yeah. Call your bank, call the institutions that you do business with. Don't just click on the links because they need you, they need your participation in order to basically rip you off. So we have to be careful there.
Yeah. 2 minutes after 7, before we go to the break, Tyrone, I've not had a chance to talk to you in detail about this. I mean, I sent you a message, but I hear you're being challenged
yes,
several times so far since you made those comments.
Once.
I heard about 3 times.
You're hearing
you had you had 2 calls the day that you made the comments on Monday, Thursday, and I believe a lady called you
Can I find that term in the scriptures? Monday, Thursday?
We're going to get there. We're going to get to that, Tyrone. And I believe on earlier this week, I think I heard a lady. A
lady called,
right.
called earlier this week.
I called 3 times. So your contention is that Christ did not spend 3 days. Did not. No, right. From Good Friday to Easter Sunday. Sorry, my bad. From Good Friday to Easter Sunday does not practically constitute 3 days and 3 nights. And you base that on Matthew 12:40.
39 and 40.
All right.
Yes.
So hold on. So you said a while ago, you asked me a question a while ago, which I think is at the heart of this disagreement.
Right.
About where in the scripture it can be found. So as I explained to you when I messaged you, that when you came after my church unnecessarily.
I did not.
Oh, no. Yes, you did. You said the Catholics came up with it. That's what you said. I listened very carefully to you on that Thursday.
Sorry. Yeah. No. But you did come up with it. Isn't that so? Didn't you set the Good Friday date to say that's the date on which?
But
because
the way you said,
do not give you that.
But the way you said it was disparaging. You were being disparaging. But be that as it may.
All right. Let me hear you on it. Give me an explanation. Tell me how the 3 days and 3 nights works.
I explained to you, Tyrone, that there are those of you who rely on only scripture, and the Latin, I believe, is sola scriptura. Is that it? Only scripture, solely scripture. And so, based on your understanding of faith and matters of dogma, the scriptures, the words themselves hold ultimate sway. And I suppose in law they'd call you a textualist. Yeah? You're bound by the text. So the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church has what it's called the magisterium of the church, right?
And tell the people what that is, man.
I will.
Yeah.
So that's sacred scripture, right? And that is the traditions, the sacred traditions of the church. A 2,000-year-old institution, as you can imagine. It's been around for a while. It's seen many things, right? So the lived experience is also important. But on the specific question of 3 days and 3 nights, and I'll be charitable by saying error. Yeah, you've fallen into error because
it's charitable.
Yes, man, I'm being charitable because you have removed the scripture from the exigencies, the cultural
context
of the times that they were written.
Yeah,
but that's fine because you know your error. You know your error, so you can prod me along. Right.
No. Let me stop you. I do not accept that I've erred.
Let me finish
you
the
are
point.
suggesting I have, but I'm listening to you.
Yes. And so I'm going to point you to Thomas and Gondry's Harmony of the Gospels, essay 10, the day and year of Christ's crucifixion. Yeah. And here's what it says. Objections.
Who is this Thomas and Gondry? Tell the people, we can't just be quoting things without advising. Who are these individuals that you're quoting?
They are religious Jewish scholars. So here's what they say.
Religious Jewish scholars. Yes. All right, go ahead.
Objections to the Friday view of the crucifixion have been based largely on Matthew 12:40, which states that Jesus would be in the grave 3 days and 3 nights before rising. I've heard you quote that, Tyrone. Yes, it was common practice among the Jews to refer to a fractional part of a day or night as being one whole day and one whole night. And I did further research when I saw that, because when I heard you, I had to go and inform myself. So that's from them. And then I went to look at how the Catholic Church...
Yeah, I've done a good job, it seems.
Are you going to allow me? And so I went and looked at what the Catholic Church believed, because obviously, those are scholars in their own right. And so the Catholic Church, the church considers the Jews, we call them elder brothers in faith, right? Forerunners to Catholicism.
Because salvation is of the Jews, as the book says.
All right. So we agree on that. Right. So their interpretation would obviously be strongly persuasive, yeah? And so that cultural context of how they saw a day and a night, so sunrise to sunset constitutes a day, not necessarily 12 to 12 or 12 a.m. to 12 midnight in the way I understand you to be suggesting. So I put it to you, my brother, my good Protestant brother, that you have fallen into error.
I don't accept that Catholic label.
You have fallen into error because you have removed the scripture from its cultural
from the context of the
context.
Time.
Yes.
All right, so
I
let
put
us
it-
use
I
what
put
you're
it- I
suggesting.
put it
Hold
to
on,
you.
man, let's put it to the test.
Yes.
Let's use what you're suggesting.
Yes.
So let's count. Let's do the math.
Yes.
So Good Friday. So Friday would be one day and one night. Then Saturday would be 2 days and 2 nights. How do you get
Because
3
from-
days? And, hold
because
on,
let me
man.
tell you, I tell you.
Hold on, I've listened to you. Allow me to put your theory to the test. You still have a difficulty because he rose early the next morning. You still have a difficulty. It does not give you 3 days and 3 nights, even if you do that 12-hour counting. This has been the subject, of much theological debate, Mr. Ricardo, and unfortunately, the what has been offered by the Catholic Church.
Yes.
We're not discussing whether or not the Lord Jesus died and rose again. We all believe that, right? As people of faith.
Yes.
But we're saying what you have put forward is not lining up with the scripture, and you just have to accept that it is not lining up with the scripture, and it does not give you 3 days and 3 nights. And facts are important.
Do you accept my starting premise, my first principle, that you've taken the scripture out of its cultural context? Do you accept that?
No, I'm not,
accept
because
that? Okay.
even if you apply that logic to it, the context of how they counted a day, you still don't get 3 days and 3 nights. It still falls short, is the point I'm making, even with that cultural context in mind. So, but the question we need to ask ourselves is, why has the Catholic Church taken this stance that to place the day on Good Friday? I mean, it's a simple mathematical error that they have made. Why have they done it? Is the question you need to ask yourself.
I will not ask myself that. I would not ask myself that, Tyro.
Why not? You're not interested in truth?
I am interested in truth, and I just gave you the truth. But I will not ask myself that question. Student for Life on YouTube says, "I wonder if somewhere in your boyhood dreams you wanted to be a man of the clergy. There's such a passion when you are defending Christian theism through Catholicism." I will tell you something, Student for Life, and this is probably going to shock you. When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I actually started a process to discern whether I should have been a priest. I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've never shared that with me, Mr. Brooks.
I have never shared. I'm sharing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I ultimately
I've never heard you say
I
it.
ultimately decided it wasn't for me. A colleague of mine who I was journeying with, he did go on to become a priest. But I ultimately decided it wasn't for me. I would talk at another pulpit, I suppose, and this is it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that about you, Mr. Brooks. It's interesting learning that.
And so every time you come after my church, Tyrone, yes, I take exception. And that's why I take exception.
I'm not coming after your church. I'm coming for truth, my brother. As a journalist, you must accept the need for us to search for truth. I'm sure you accept that. And this magisterium to which you refer, because the Catholic Church also makes another claim, which is not true. And if we're going to get to the truth, that it is the first church, and it is not true. The church was started in Jerusalem, AD 30 or 32 there. And the Roman Catholic Church, any church that was started in Rome, came at least with years later from the church in Jerusalem.
I said to you,
because they make this claim, let me finish, I listen to you, so listen to me now. Because they've made this claim, they have sought to project these things called magisterium that they base from their own history. Let us go back to the days of the apostles, what they preached, what they taught, those who were walking with them, what they preached, what they taught. And we can get that from the books that are that we have in the scriptures. Of course, are there other books that are not canonized? Clearly, there are other books, but there are other considerations as to why those books have not been canonized, which we perhaps don't necessarily need to debate here. But we have those books that have been authenticated. It has been the subject of much theological and academic rigor, right? So why are we not utilizing what is in the scriptures? And it's not the only thing that your brothers and friends in the Roman Catholic Church have advanced that contradicts scripture, my brother. There are a plethora of other things.
May I now respond?
Yes, you may.
No, as I said to you, in all humility, I can accept that particular question about first Christians and being the first church requires more. And as I promised you, I am going to empanel a group of Catholic apologists from the Archdiocese to take you on that particular question. I'm not the most competent one to do that, but I will get you your answer. Because I am sure
you would make my day, if you do that.
Sure that the gates of hell will not prevail against the rock that is Christ Church.
You're making me an enemy of the church, right? No,
certainly the Roman Catholic
please.
Church.
No. The other thing is, and I really don't mean to do this at a time that your Roman Catholics are mourning the death of the Pope.
Then you shouldn't do it. Then you shouldn't do it.
No, but I'm just going to say this. No, it's going to be respectful. Even the idea of the papacy is something that requires further interrogation in terms of scriptural rigor to see if it lines up. Even the idea of the papacy, I wouldn't put it any stronger than that. I don't intend to be disrespectful.
Fair, and I think that one is an easier sell. So when the apologists are taking you on, I'll jump in on that one. That's an easier sell. Mare is actually reminding me that I did reveal that on the E-Zone. So I have said it before, actually. Yes, apparently.
I missed that one. Yeah. I did not know, Sir Ricardo. I know that you are very fond of the Roman Catholicism, but like I said, there are lots of questions, my brother, and years and years and years of practices that just do not line up with the scripture. If we go back to the basics, look at the early church in the scriptures, and just do it that way, we won't go wrong. It's as simple as that. And that is the point that we're making. Let's go back to the people that the Lord originally gave the blueprint to. That can't be unreasonable.
We're going to continue this conversation.
All right, so we should.
15 minutes after 7, after the break, it's time for your call. 630-937-124, 618-8255.
Get the inside scoop. Tune in to Budget Bites, a brief breakdown of the 2025 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. It's an informative snapshot of the budget and what it means for you. Don't miss Budget Bites, bite-sized insights into the Prime Minister's vision for Jamaica. Budget Bites, unpacking the budget for you.
Let us recall that the drop in murders from 2009, for which the opposition seeks to take credit, was a direct result of the state of public emergency launched in May 2010 by the Jamaica Labour Party administration, which dismantled and scattered the gangs and created a 21% drop in murders in 2011. 21% drop in murders in 2011. No other police action has resulted in any such drop. In 2011, murders stabilized, and in 2012, stabilized. This created a respite where targeted police operations against gangs and violence producers resulted in 2024 having the lowest number of murders in the last 20 years. But it's not as a result of the PNP's action. It is as a result of the 2010 state of public emergency, which gave you a 21% reduction, then a slight carry-on reduction in 2012. I still posit that if the opposition then had supported the government in extended the state of public emergency, the fall in murders would have been even greater. In mid-2014, the PNP introduced the Unite for Change, an ostensible crime-fighting strategy that leaned heavily on social intervention. There was also a change of police commissioners and an apparent change in crime-fighting strategy. By 2015, murders began to rise again. Under the PNP, even with the much-touted Unite for Change initiative in full effect. The truth is that the PNP shifted focus from targeted operations against gangs and gang leaders and allowed them space to regroup. The number of gangs in the country increased from 200 in 2010 to 350 by 2016. And we saw the impact of this from 2015 through 2017. That is why my administration decided to take decisive action. We recognize the emergency threat organized criminal enterprises and violence producers pose to specific communities and the country generally. We responded with zones of special operation and states of public emergencies to halt the persistent spiral in murders from 2015 to 2017. The SOEs and zones of special operations were successful in taking back communities from gangs, displacing criminals, disrupting their operations, and limiting their space and opportunity to commit crime. This resulted in a 22% reduction in murders in 2018 and a leveling off between 2019 and 2020. The success of the SOEs and the ZOZO came with the support of the opposition at the time. And I here must give credit to the former leader of the opposition, the Honorable Dr. Peter Phillips, who understood their necessity and supported their extension. However, since the change in leadership in the opposition in 2020, we have not been able to use the SOEs to full effect. We have used them, but not to full effect. And we saw a 10% spike in murders in 2021. This could have been prevented and lives saved if narrow political interests parading as protecting rights did not blind the current opposition leader to protecting the right to life of the victims of murder by supporting extensions of the SOE. In parallel with emergency measures, this administration in 2018 embarked on an ambitious plan to indigenously reform and reorganize the JCF under the direction of a new commissioner, Major General Anthony Anderson, to include development of leadership, recruitment and training of personnel, and the acquisition of material and technology. It was never the intention of the government to rely solely on emergency measures. We used emergency measures to treat with the crime situation, which was over and above the existing capacity of regular law enforcement at the time. And we used the space and attenuation it created to build the capacity of the security forces. Therefore, in 2022, we began to realize the impact of the reforms and capability building investments in the JCF.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How is the
For more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor fi go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait. I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Are you ready for something mega? Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels Tour promotion. April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Grace, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst. Juice Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart. Best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Beat walker figure trim the lawn. We have everything you job them on. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
22 minutes after 7, we're taking your calls. The numbers 630-9371 to 4618-8255. This is Nationwide at 5. Richie, good evening.
Good evening,
To you, Sir Richie.
and welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Bangaman, big up yourself.
Anglia Banga, my boss. I'm not so sure why you're welcoming back, but all right.
I listened to your record a while ago talking about the Bible, and I am of the opinion that you keep the 10 Commandments.
You're of the opinion?
Yeah.
You're of the opinion that I keep the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, based on what I listen.
Well, all right. Why do you think that?
Because, record I was telling about the crucifixion of Christ on the Friday evening, go through Saturday and rise on Sunday. And that's why I know it as well, and that will be 3 days.
You say you know that to be 3 days?
Of course.
Oh.
Because
you can't get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and Sunday?
Between Friday? Repeat.
No, you're saying you can get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and Sunday?
3 days and 3 nights?
Yes.
Back in those days, they talk about 3 days, And it was crucified because remember they said the Sabbath was dry night. And the Sabbath start on Friday evening. That's how it's going to go. And so Saturday and Sunday morning.
No. That's not how it goes still, but yeah, I can see why you're making that mistake.
No. All right. Do you believe in keeping the Sabbath day holy?
The church, there's no command in the scriptures for the church to keep the Sabbath, sir.
The church?
Yes.
No, I agree.
There's a command that was given to Israel to keep the Sabbath, but none was given to the church to keep the Sabbath.
Exactly. I agree. But, like for example, in terms of who the 10 Commandments was given to and why.
Right. The 10 Commandments was given to the people of Israel.
To Moses to lead the children of Israel.
Right. It was given to the people of Israel. Yes. It was good and it was godly because God gave it to Moses to give to the people.
Of Israel. And the fourth one was remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Right.
Because back in those days, on the Sabbath day, people confess their sin. And if you don't confess sin and the sun go down, they stone you to death. That's how the day becomes holy. So people are saying
really?
Sabbath day holy now.
Where you get that, Richie?
No, I have no Bible.
Where do you get that? No, I don't think that's how it went, Sir Richie. That doesn't sound consistent with what's written in the scriptures.
If you don't know that you don't think that's how it went, tell me how do you think?
No, if you broke any of the laws that required a capital punishment, you would have been put to death. That's how it's just as if we have laws, and if you breach them, some laws require the death penalty, others don't. It's the same thing. It's a similar system.
Yes.
It's not everything that you did that was wrong that required a death sentence.
And the confession was on the Sabbath day. Am I wrong or right?
No, if you broke the Sabbath, I think that was punishable by death. I think it was, yes, if you broke the Sabbath. But it wasn't the only thing that was punishable by death. Other infractions attracted capital punishment as well.
Yes. Let's go on. So, next question. The Sabbath. What was the name? What was the name of the Sabbath?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question. Ricardo, do you?
No, I'm trying to follow Richie.
Okay. And that's what I am. Okay. How much people join together to make a Sabbath day? How much people?
What do you mean?
Still not certain I understand the question. What do you mean?
8 or more. 8 or more.
8 or more what?
People come together.
Yes.
That was the Sabbath day, the Sabbath, and that's where the day started. But the church now, Daniel talks about the kingdom of God which is come, and thou talk about the kingdom of God. John the Baptist come preaching, that is near. Christ come preaching near. What is the kingdom of God that Tyrone?
All right, I'm gonna call pause. I'm gonna I'm gonna call
I'm
pause,
not-
Richie.
I'm
gonna call pause,
Richie.
Richie.
Well, Richie, you're making some statements that I'm not following. So I'm
Yeah,
not even sure
I'm
how
not following
how
either,
that's
Richie.
it.
Man. We have other people waiting.
The kingdom of God is the church which starts on the day of Pentecost. You see?
All right,
And
my brother.
yes.
I've given you a road. We've given you a road. We have to go, Richie. Who's next?
Thank you, Richie.
Yeah,
Enjoy the weekend.
Bobby.
Yes, good evening, my good friend Ricardo. Well, I should say my brother in Christ.
How are you, Bobby?
Well, okay. I express although I am an Anglo-Catholic, I express my condolences to the Roman Catholic diocese the other day. You know, although we are all.
Oh, you mean at the passing of the Pope?
Right, yes, of the passing of the
Okay,
Pope.
okay. You're being. I thought you were making a joke there. You're being serious.
No, but my good friend Tyrone, I am gonna take you on with something because I am a former lay preacher in the Anglican Church. But before I go to that, make I just commend the Prime Minister for opening the irrigation system down in Clarendon. That system reached at least far more than at least 100 and more farmers, both small and large farmers and so on. All these systems that he keep on opening across the country reach farmers that have a difficulty for years getting water to really grow their crops. And I think that is a good move by him. Right, and so Tyrone, I want to say this to you. Every day, carry a night. You have Friday day and you have Friday night. You have Saturday day and you have Saturday night. You have Sunday day and you have Sunday night. When Christ was brutally beaten and so on, and they lay a crown of thorn around his head and beat him and crucify him and thing. They murdered him at a place of a skull that is called Golgotha. And when they murdered him, and that is on Good Friday, and they buried him in the tomb. He stayed there Friday, day, night, Saturday, day, night, Sunday, day, night, and it was early in the morning.
Hold on, my brother. You're airing there. So it's Friday day, Friday night, Saturday day, Saturday night, and Sunday day, Sunday night?
Right. Each day carries a night.
Right, but he says 3 days and 3 nights. He was specific, which means he's going to spend 3 days and 3 nights as Jonah did in the whale's belly. Yes, he told them that is the sign that is being given to this generation. Then the Bible tells us. Listen what the Bible says. In the end of the Sabbath, this is Matthew chapter 28, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. So it's early in the morning when Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre, and he was already not there. So you cannot get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and early Sunday morning. You can't.
But Tyrone,
it's simple mathematics. Even if you count 1 day, 1 night for 1 day.
Yes, but Tyrone, but you and I don't know what time he was risen and when he was risen. Remember?
The Bible tells you though, that is the error that you're making. The scripture tells you, let me read it again, Matthew 28, and I suggest you check it after church. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, it was dawning towards the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. He was risen on that within that time frame there, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week. So we know it was early Sunday morning. We don't have to question it. We know. You cannot get 3 days and 3 nights, no matter which calculation you use.
And Tyrone, remember, the same Bible says he was risen 3 days after he was being crucified. 3 days. So you check Good Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He was risen on that day.
Thank you, Bobby.
And remember that when he was risen, and when Mary went to the tomb and she didn't see him, and when she's there out of concern and started to grieve, and she looked around, she saw someone there in a white robe. And when she turned around and looked, and he spoke to her and said, "It is I," and she had wanted to come and touch him.
My Anglican brother, thank you. Thank you.
Bobby, big up yourself.
Thank you for the call, Bobby. Lens, good evening. I've opened a can of worms, it seems. How are you?
Sir Tyrone.
Big up yourself, Lens.
Yes, sir. What I want from you, Master Tyrone, can you accept 3 days?
Oh, Lord.
Look, let me be lucid on this matter, Lens. I accept the death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm a Jesus man. I accept it. What I'm putting forward is that what the Roman Catholic Church, my good friend Ricardo and his colleagues in the Roman Catholic Church, have suggested that it was Good Friday is absolutely not correct. They have done an injustice to the resurrection. It did not happen on Good Friday. What we need to ask them is, why are they insisting that it was done on Good Friday? That is the question we need to ask them. You cannot get 3 days and 3 nights. Even if you count 1 day and 1 night for 1 day, you won't get 3 days and 3 nights. He rose early Sunday morning. We have Bible for that.
Yes, sir. Come, Sir Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
Your intro to this subject.
Yes, sir.
Or you refer to the days part thereof and how it go again?
Yes, that it's part of a day, essentially. Part of what we consider a day. Sunrise to sunset.
No, man. The Latin that you made reference to.
Sola Scriptura.
Right. Now, what I think most of us not getting, or most people not getting, is what constitutes a day, from whence a day starts and when it ends. So, and how things happen. So the day starts in the evening, and you can go back to Genesis 1 for that. At the end of each day of creation, everything started in the night. Whatever we do, it starts in the night. So a day, we sleep first, and then we rise, each day. So Friday would have started on the eve of what we call Friday. Right? So we would have gone into Friday night before Friday day. And that's 1 day. We would have started Saturday night. That's when the Sabbath was approaching. So we would have completed a day and a night. And the Sabbath was approaching. So the Sabbath approach, it's the night first. And then the Sabbath finish. And then the first day of the week would have started when the Saturday finish. And it is on the before daylight of the first day. Before daylight of the first day that he would have rose. What we also need to factor in is that you're in a situation from the moment it starts. And starting can mean you're imprisoned, not when you went into the jail cell in the lockup. You're imprisoned when the police accost you. So he accost you on the street. You're in prison. And you're not out of prison until the judge frees you. So you don't have to spend your 3 days and 3 nights in Duane Park jail. You were arrested, and the police drive around you with you in a jeep, and early Monday morning they take you to court, and you get bail.
So you're saying the Lord was in the belly of the earth from they arrested him?
From they arrested him. From
No,
the
sir.
arrest, from the sentence.
Not
From the sentence was pronounced. From the sentence was pronounced. But
was Jonah in the whale's belly when he was in the ship?
when he got into
All right, Lens. Here's what I'm gonna do. Lens.
Friday started from the evening.
Lens.
It doesn't matter. It's still not giving you 3 days and 3 nights.
Lens.
Count it, Lens, and
It
see.
gives you 3 days and 3 nights, sir. It does.
Lens.
It does give it to you.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I actually am enjoying this. I'm enjoying this.
I am.
Tyrone,
right?
We'll
Yes.
probably have to devote some time to this.
Yeah.
Lens, thank you for the
Yeah,
call.
we perhaps need to plan a session and come on.
Yes, I am
And
enjoying
then you can come on over onto the little thing I do there and bring the apology so we can make
No,
an
man,
event of
I
it.
promise you, I will. Willow Will says Tyrone and Ricardo only need your own program for this. Perhaps. William.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mass William. How are you?
Evening to you, Mr. Well, good. But I just want to throw my little 2 cents here, Mr. Reed.
Yes, sir.
On the same 3 days and 3 nights?
Ricardo.
Well, I sit in your corner, Mr. Reed.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Mass William.
Because in that time, better for my understanding, a day and a night is 24 hours. So 3 days and 3 nights would be 72 hours. So you cannot get 3 days and 3 nights from, even if we put it from Friday morning till Sunday morning. It couldn't work. There's no way. Right?
But even if you use 12 hours, it still falls short. But Mass William, even if you take Ricardo's reckoning, of the cultural context of the time, 12 hours gives you a day, even in the morning gives you a day. You still do not get 3 days and 3 nights, even with that calculation. So it's out at sea.
No matter how they come and spin it, it cannot work.
Absolutely not.
I will say a lot of change is going because let me tell you something, sorry, a lot of people don't understand. God not make him thing complicated for people. Right? Them tell us 7 days make a week, 4 weeks make a month. Right? And when you check it out, you're not paid 52 weeks in the year.
I don't know about the 4 weeks make a month. I don't think the Lord told us that. But he did. The Bible does speak to the 7 days of creation.
No, the Bible don't say that. But when you check it out, because somebody changed up a lot of things, and this is what causes us now in this problem. Because in my local fish brain here, it's 28 days would be in a month, and it's only 1 month can 28 days, and certain time. A 4 year you see it can 29. Right?
Yeah, that math thing there.
a lot of mix up going on 31 and 30 days shouldn't be fair month.
We do utilize the Gregorian calendar. Isn't that what it's called,
Yes.
Sir Ricardo?
Yes.
We attribute that to the Catholics as well, no?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Pope Gregory. There are always questions,
Right. You see for the year, Mr. Reed, at 336 days. These other extra 30, somebody forget account how that 30 years gone.
Yes.
So a lot of
and then October is the 10th month, and when you look at October, it should be the 8th month. Right.
So a lot of mix up in it, and I think is it now turning some people brain right around. But
Ricardo and his friends
yes, William.
Why
no matter
of the thing.
Ricardo, you cannot work out 3 days and 3 nights from Friday morning till Sunday morning when the mayor them went there.
All
when
right.
the Lord missing.
All right, William, my
Right?
boss. I hear you.
Jason Somerville on our thank you, William. We
Thanks for the
appreciate it.
call.
Call. Jason Somerville on our YouTube channel says Ricardo. He wants the number so he can school me. So it's 876-630-9371 to 4 or 876-618-8255. All right, Jason Somerville, give us a call.
Livingston is next. Good evening, Livingston.
Good evening, Livingston.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Doing all right.
Oh, we're giving thanks, man.
Okay, good. Regular listener to your program. The first time, well, not exactly the first time calling through, but however, I'm listening to your discussion. Very interesting discussion you're having there. Very, very interesting.
Yes.
And I'm loving it. However, you don't want to consider how do you get the 3 days and 3 nights. There is something called inclusive reckoning, which means counting any portion of the day as a full day rather than strictly adhering to a 24-hour period.
Which is the point I am making to him, Livingston, but Tyrone refuses to accept it.
Right. So what part of the day, no matter how short, so if it's the beginning of the day and something happened, it would be considered a day, nevertheless. So that is how you would get the 3 days. Right? So you
but you know where your theory falls flat, my brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
The man himself who is going to be in the heart of the earth for 3 days.
No, Tyrone.
and 3 nights.
No,
Hold
Tyrone.
on,
Livingston. No, hold on. No, because you said this before. You've said this before. Livingston's point.
Can I get some protection,
no,
Mr.
you don't need
Chairman?
no protection.
Mr. Chairman, can somebody protect me?
Livingston's
No,
point.
no,
Livingston's
I hear you,
point
and I'm challenging what he's
stands.
saying.
No, hold on. Livingston's point stands because what you're doing again
It does not
is
stand.
taking the plain speech, the plain text outside of its context. What Livingston is giving you is the context.
All right. Are you finished?
Yes.
All right, let me continue my point. That's not a point of order, sir. No, because I understood clearly what the member said. No, Carla, you're saying it reckons. He was clear. He did not say 3 days. He said 3 days and 3 nights. He was specific. And it is to match the prophecy of what happened to Jonah. It is specific, and there are a plethora of prophecies that the Lord Jesus alone fulfills, which is why you know that this thing is not something that is made up. If people dispassionately sit down and look at it, yes, all the prophecies coming from over hundreds of years, different peoples, and he came and fulfilled all of them. Now he says, as Jonah was in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights, he was specific. No, it is the Catholic Church that has attempted to tell us that he was crucified on Good Friday. The Bible does not make that claim. So this application of what the term is that you just used, help me here. What's the phrase? Tell me it again. Because I'm not as learned as you. Tell me the phrase again.
No, it's inclusive
reckoning. Yes, inclusive reckoning. There's no need for inclusive reckoning because the Bible really did not tell us, that the Lord was crucified on Good Friday. It's the Roman Catholic Church that sought to tell us that. They need to explain why they're doing that. There's no need for an inclusive reckoning. It's simple. The simplicity of the gospel. 3 days and 3 nights. That is what the Lord says, and that is what happened.
Thank you for the call, Livingston. I appreciate it. Listen, every single, because I see some of the YouTubers complaining, every single God Almighty evening, you all come here to bombard me with the same issues, the same complaints. I welcome a different conversation. I have to be frank with you. Who's
an interestingly, Ricardo, I often say this perhaps to myself and not necessarily out loud that, sometimes we treat religious freedoms as if they are lesser rights. People are entitled to their faith. It's not lesser rights. And if people want to call and talk about it, they should be free.
Absolutely.
We're not telling people what to call about.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, please. We should allow people to express themselves.
Anthony.
Yes.
Greetings, Master Anthony.
Good evening. Good night or good evening.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful with Tyrone because you might tell us your idea.
Touche, Anthony. That's a good one.
Oh, I see. All right, fine.
You sound like a reasonable man, Anthony.
Yeah. But let me say, before me go further, this radio is really our revolution radio.
What happened?
Yes, man, the changes, man. The changes. You know, because we don't normally have them type of discussion on the radio and all of them stuff there. You know, so I'm really glad to be such type of discussion. It's nice. You know, change up
Absolutely. Of course. We're not one track.
Huh?
We're not one track people, man. Come on. We must be multifaceted.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. I love this, man. I said, because sometimes, man, if you change it, like this an hour. Well, I talk about an hour, 3 days and 3 nights in the earth and so forth. Yeah, next time if you have like a line of the water baptism, the infilling of the Holy Spirit.
And the truth, Anthony, there are several interesting questions, and I find that the one Tyrone raised earlier about the Catholic Church being the first church and the primacy of the papacy and the Pope. Very, very intellectually stimulating issues. Like if you really, just apart from the religion aspect of it, if you really read up on it, it's very, I find it, well, let me say for me, I find it very stimulating. And I've watched the debates and I've read the debates. And if people just give it a chance to hear the arguments on both sides, I suspect they'll find it interesting. But
yeah, because really and truly the Catholic is not the first church. The church began on the day of Pentecost.
Well, we disagree there. But
that's right, sir. You disagree with the scripture?
No, Tyrone, careful.
My God.
No, Tyrone.
My brother,
I was disagreeing with the point that the Catholic Church is not the first church. That's what I was disagreeing with. Careful, Tyrone.
You said the church was
that came after.
On the day of Pentecost.
Absolutely.
Do you
absolutely?
Then how can and where was that? In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem.
Yes.
Well, how then can the Roman Catholic Church be the first church?
But Tyrone, hold on. Just hold on. The Roman Catholic
simplicity.
No. You don't get away with that. The Roman moniker, the moniker Roman, obviously came about because the Roman Empire eventually authorized or brought Christianity into the mainstream by accepting it as the Let me finish. By bringing it into the mainstream and making it the religion of the Roman Empire. That's where the Roman moniker comes from. So don't try that, Tyrone. Don't try that. And you know, Tyrone. But good attempt.
But the point remains that the Roman Catholic did not need to mainstream Christianity, and the brand of Christianity
to be clear, when I say mainstream,
was not consistent with the scripture.
To be clear, when I say mainstream, of course you'd agree with me that the early Christians faced significant persecution.
At the hands of the Romans,
precisely. Absolutely, yeah. And so when I say brought into the mainstream, meaning that they no longer face that oppression and the persecution that they were facing.
I don't know about that, but I hear you. I don't know that happened, but
yes, Anthony.
Ricardo, one more thing before me left.
Yes, my brother.
I'm going to say to Tyrone, you remember me, but you remember me. You come to my church, come preach on Sunday. I live in Montego Bay at King's Chapel United Pentecostal Church.
I do remember you, man. God bless you, my brother, man. Yeah, man, I remember you, man.
Yeah, man, and that was a lovely message. Take care of yourself.
Give God thanks, man. Bless you, man. Good.
I've only seen you preach once in a Tyrone. I found a video of you preaching, and one evening I'll probably play it for the listeners. They should hear the message. It was a good message. No, it was a good message. It was a good message. But then again,
I listen to him.
Even a broken clock is, right one. So yeah.
Twice, actually.
Twice, I guess. Oh, well, no. Wait, no. It depends on the day. It depends on the day.
In a day, so it's in a day.
It depends on how you're characterizing a day. Who's next, Books? Carl, good evening.
Evening.
Carl, bless up your Anglia Bangle, man.
Yeah, Tyrone, the only problem with me have with the Seventh-day Adventists. Every Baptist pastor and every Seventh-day Adventist pastor cannot have another job once them is a pastor, so then get paid for the collection of the offering. And when the Seventh-day Adventist pastor preaching at pulpit on a Saturday, by the sweat of your bow you eat bread, no sir?
That's what the book said. By the sweat of your bow you shall eat bread. And if a man don't work, him should eat, according to the New Testament.
Thank you very much. And the Seventh-day Adventist whole Christianity is from sunset to sunset Saturday evening, if you do not. If him a preaching at pulpit, for him salary, I work him a work.
Well, the book says I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist, but this is in defense of them. The book does say that the priests profane the Sabbath in the temple and are blameless because the priests still carry out the work that need to be done in the temple, and they are blameless because it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath day. The Lord Jesus told us that, and he says that Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. So we have to understand how we negotiate the Sabbath. And finally, I have to say this, that there's no command to the church to keep a literal 7-day Sabbath. I must say that.
Let me hear Carl's response.
But that's not how the Seventh-day Adventists see. That is man made for the Sabbath. Them see it a different way, that from sunset Saturday evening, nothing you must do. I used to carry a 7-day Adventist lady. I won't tell you where, but there was a problem one time and she refused to pay me because Sunday said she said me have to wait till Monday. And I tell her, I said no. Anyhow, one of that me call you about. Mr. Finson, Sam Tavares Finson's son is just wasting in time in Mr. Samuda constituency. If he can get 10 votes, if he should have a runoff, he's blessed. What Mr. Finson should have looked at is that Mr. Samuda have made his name into that constituency. And for you to see Mr. Samuda backing Seabright and Mr. Samuda wife is on social media also campaigning for Seabright, that is seal and sign. The delegate them won't go nowhere else except for Seabright.
You make a convincing argument because he has won that seat for both the JP and the PNP, right?
Thank you very much.
He, in that regard, I gather he might be a singular politician. Ricardo, you're perhaps more up on the facts of it.
I haven't found another example.
In that regard, for the same seat, he may very well be. We're not saying that is the case, singular in that regard. But isn't that how the democratic process works, though? If somebody wants to challenge, they're free to.
I don't have a problem in him making a challenge. I don't have a problem. That's how the party constitution said it must have a runoff. Don't have a problem with it. But Mr. Finch is just wasting his time there.
So you expect them to have the runoff?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyhow, I was taking a very deep look at the shadow cabinet for the People's National Party. Good Friday gone. And differently from Julian Robinson, Mr. Hilton, and Damian Crawford, if him win, and who again? Somebody else. And if Bunting should have come through. What else left you could have made a shadow cabinet from? Where would you put Angela Burke? You know, those are things we need to start flush out now. Where would you put somebody like Angela Burke?
I mean, off the top of my head, I could see her being the local government minister.
She spent years at the local government.
Yeah, she spent years at the local government level.
Where would you put her, Miss Birchall, the one in Montego Bay? It didn't talk anything, and you go and check it.
She could be information minister. Isn't that her area of expertise, Ricardo?
Yes, that's what she's doing now. Yes.
But Tyrone, when you speak, Tyrone, you must learn.
No. But what do you mean? Where do you put her? She's an intelligent woman. What do you mean? I've had conversations with her. She's an intelligent woman.
Tyrone, I don't know if he was around when Moti say one man used to work with him named Chinala. And Chinala always said to him, say, Mr. Perkins, allow me born for now. Allow me the born for, but because my parents and the poor, I use my shit. And Mr. Perkins say you never find a man smart more than Chinala. Very smart man. Miss Birchall maybe is an intelligent person, but when anytime she say anything and you go and check it, it is not like she's coming off like the one over Port.
No, you don't have any evidence to support that. Come on, that's not fair. That's not fair. Come on, you're not being fair. You're not being fair with that.
Tyrone, when people said things, Tyrone.
Yeah.
Feel like I me could have come last and I could have tell you, say, Daz should have come back. I sit and I check what Daz said. And you even come to the conclusion now that a lot of time when Daz put out anything, it almost doesn't make sense to look at. Because you know where him is going.
Yeah, but I don't know. You said anytime she speaks and you go and check the facts, it does not accord. And I'm saying that can't be true. You can't be speaking in those absolute terms and accept us to accept that.
I haven't found that to be true. I haven't found that to be true.
Come on.
I actually find her quite polished and measured.
Absolutely. And she is intelligent.
You need to go and check some of her release them.
Yes, I'm saying to you, I've seen them, and I noticed she has this online thing going on now, and I watched a few of the videos. No, I haven't found her to be intentionally misleading, or no, I haven't found her.
No, and that's not fair to say either.
I haven't found that.
Well, me checked it, and that's what I picked up.
All right,
and you will say, anybody will say, then it's no better for me, and everybody know that where me stand. Anyhow, I heard on 5 o'clock news this evening. I heard on 5 o'clock news this evening. The World Bank is telling other countries to follow Jamaica MAGA.
Yes, look to Jamaica. But we're out of time. We're out of time, though.
Yeah, it's another feather in Jamaica's cap. It is, my brother. It is.
All right, that's it for this evening, for the week. Dana, you have to bring back Tyrone more often. In spite of myself, I actually enjoyed this evening.
I enjoyed myself, my brother, as always. Even though I might not say so, it's always a good thing to co-host with my brother.
Dana Davey, thank you. Andrew Glenn Anderson, thank you. Our colleagues in the newsroom, led by our editor Cara Powell, our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. Thank you all so much. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed. Good evening.
Good evening.